You're listening to the Gabe Molina Podcast.
Believe it or not, did you know
That's
Texas?
crazy.
Did you know Texas actually? HOAs have a rule where you can't post certain HOAs, a majority of them. You can't have a political sign in your yard if it's ran by an HOA.
Well, I remember there was an issue several years ago where I think a guy wanted to put a flag up in his front yard, and they shot it down. And I think he kept putting it back up. They went back and forth, but the HOA, I think a neighbor was complaining, but the HOA basically said, hey, you can't put a flag in your front yard. And he kind of said F you and did it anyway. I think he paid some fines or something. I don't know where it ended up, but yeah, HOAs are a nightmare, man. I'm in one right now, and you know, we got something the other day that was for a trash can. They wanted $18 or something. And it's funny
They
because
got me like that too.
did they? I've had a conversation with them before where this was because they sell your stuff, right? They sell your HOA to different management companies, and so they ended up wanting to charge me like $200 for leaving my trash can in front of my garage. And so I called to complain. I was talking to them, and it turned out that they don't live in the neighborhood.
No.
And I said, what are our amenities? We don't have anything. They said, well, we got to pay for streetlights, and you know, pay for the lights, pay for the power for them. And I forgot what the math was, but at the time I said, how many houses are in this HOA? And it was like 160 something houses. And I did the math along with how much we paid, and it was like $500,000 a year. And I said, you're telling me that you pay $500,000 a year for streetlights and electricity to those streetlights? And she's like, well, there's also administration fees. And I was like, come on, lady. I see you guys are making a killing. I said, I'll tell you what, I'll send you $60. I said, that's all you're getting. Send them $60, never heard from them again. But anyway, that was my interaction with them. I'm fixing to have another one, so.
Yeah, HOAs, dude, are.
Gabe?
I compare them to the mob.
Gabe, what's better than one Gabe?
Two Gabes.
Two Gabes, man.
Gabe squared.
Gabe squared. Hey, so thank you for coming.
Hey, glad to be here, man.
Hopefully we don't drink too much. I'm going to show you something cool, man.
You know, it's the weekend.
My buddy Kent Mantle. Kent is a bad mofo. Kent is the owner of Elegant Limousine in San Antonio.
Ooh, sounds fancy.
Oh man, he's awesome, and he's got amazing stories. I think we did podcast 25 and 50 with him. Kent's the man. But anyway, Kent said he had gone somewhere, and I think he has a friend that lives in Victoria, and they were having shots and drinks. And when you take a tequila shot, typically people would do it with a lime or a lemon, and lemon lime, whatever. And so this lady, I think she was from England or something, said, no, you need to do it with an orange and cinnamon.
I was wondering why you had these out here like that.
Yeah, man. So,
Okay.
and then
Orange
I
and
brought
cinnamon.
some meat, man, because we're up here late and fat people got to eat. So,
There's nothing wrong with that.
so let's
It's
do
important.
this. Let's do this.
Heck yeah.
Let's do
Hey,
a poor man's shot.
Shout out to Kent.
Here you go.
I
I think
want to meet you, Kent.
the shots are low, man. So do a little low shot because I'm not a big drinker either.
Okay.
So one for you, one for me.
Okay.
I'm gonna cut us up some oranges.
What's your poison? Brown or clear?
The one that's near.
The one that's near. All right, man. That could be dangerous, but hey,
So
we're gonna go live.
I brought my fancy knife for cutting oranges and meat. So I was telling you about this earlier.
Heck yeah.
Tops makes this. It's called El Chete, and man, I love it. I just love knives.
It's a fancy looking knife. It looks like you're ready
know.
to kill.
I don't know how I cut this last time. Do you cut it this way or you turn it?
You can cut it down the middle.
I'll go this way. Hopefully
There
I
you
don't cut
go.
myself.
Yeah, just
Like an idiot.
that'd be great advertisement for the knife, though.
Oh, there you go. Oh man, you're gonna love this. These oranges have
I'm actually pretty excited.
thick rind. Oh, you're
Pretty
gonna love this.
excited.
Thank you, Kent.
That's right, Kent.
Kent is he's probably one of the coolest guys I know. He is from the Mantle clan that made Mickey Mantle. So he's a cool dude.
Ooh,
Man, I'm making a mess.
there you go.
All right, making a real mess.
Hey.
Close enough. Sorry, Bojan. Oh, he's gonna hate me. So,
is this the first time you're doing something like this on your show here?
Yeah, man. I'd figure we'd do a little culinary something.
I like it. Although I do have a question. If it's my turn, I can ask a question before we get started.
You can ask.
And I'm pretty sure a lot of your viewers.
We started already, man. We started.
Awesome. I'm pretty sure a lot of your viewers probably have the same question, or people who meet you and interact with you. But what's the purpose of wearing the knife on the collar of your T-shirt?
The knife on the collar of my T-shirt.
I've noticed that.
So I'm Mexican, so we always have to carry a knife because that's an expectation.
Yeah.
So it's not that cool, man. So years ago, I've always had this problem. I'm built like an upside down pear, right? So anytime I got stretchy shorts on and I got my phone, my keys, my knife, they go down. So years ago, we like to go to the beach. We like to go surf fishing.
Okay.
So I always like to have a knife on me so I can cut line or whatever I got to do. And so in my head, I didn't want anything flashy in the water because a bigger fish might think it's a little fish and come for a bite.
Okay.
So I started hanging it on my collar, and now it's just a habit. And like I said, upside down pear keeps my shorts up.
Okay.
By not putting it there.
There you go.
So I'm not trying to be cool because I'm far from it. But
hey, there you go. It's an effective. You're keeping the purpose of having a knife, but you're doing it in your own way.
Yeah, man.
So
and I don't know. There's got to be a chick out there that likes it. So, I don't know.
Well, it definitely sparks for a good conversation starter.
So
I'll tell you that right now.
What kind of tequila is this?
This is
Bojan's Finest. Oh, it smells good. Thank you, Bo.
Yeah. Hey, Bo. Shout out, Bo. Thank you.
So cheers.
Hey, salud,
Gabe?
salud. Finally coming in and making this happen.
That's the shit, right?
Ooh, that's different.
Right?
Yeah.
I'll cut you up some more whenever you're ready, man.
Oof.
Against the man.
Gives you the little chills there.
Against the man.
It's been a while since I've taken shots.
So, I actually went to my first massage yesterday, man.
Really?
Let me tell you what.
Now, was this one of those full body massages, or it's just kind of show up and
no.
they just take your arm and your hand and your legs, or is this like, hey, take
full,
it all off?
It was full body. And so I never knew that they gave fat people massages, and that's why I never went. So I'm 46. I sit at a sedentary job. I'm fat, out of shape, and I know I need to start doing things. So I started exercising again, and slowly I started getting some real tightness. I think it's sciatic or something, lower back. I've always had kind of like a shoulder thing too, and it's been slowly progressing like over years, right? So this past week, man, it was brutal. So like first thing, if I got to pee in the morning, it's hell getting out of bed. If getting up in the morning, it's just super tight. So Nina did this thing. A friend of ours had given her a massage coupon or something, massage envy, and she went. They wrangled her in and like, hey, why don't you join our subscription and come every blah blah blah. Nina never went. She's got thousands of hours of massage that she's supposed to use, but she's gonna lose it all. So she said, hey, your back's hurting. You need to go get a massage. I said, I'm not going. I said, first of all, they don't massage fat people, and two, what's the weight limit on the table? So she signs me up, and she goes, hey, you're gonna go sit with David, and David is known for giving intense massages. I said, all right. And she says, he's gay. I said, oh, okay, great.
Hey, there you go.
Because I appeal to both sexes. I get in there, and I crack some jokes, because that's what I do, man. I get nervous.
I mean, you have to at that point.
I start trying to be funny.
You can't just walk in there all,
yeah.
Hey, what's up?
And you know what's funny is when you walk in there, everybody's fit and younger or older. And then you see fucking this brown grimace walk in. And so I fill out the stuff, and she says, well, what hurts? So it's got this muscle anatomy or whatever on this iPad. And I said, oh, that hurts. And so it was everything but two things. So I said, screw it. Let me just click on everything. Long story short, he takes me to the back and he says, go ahead and undress and lay down on the table.
There you go.
So I'm cracking jokes because I'm charming. And I go to lay down. And it took me about 6 minutes to finally lay flat because I had so much lower back pain and shoulder pain. And he had to wait on me. I said, hey, man, give me a minute. I'm trying to flatten out.
Yeah.
They need to make one for pregnant women and fat dudes because it was kind of uncomfortable. Anyway, I finally lay down and he goes to start pushing on my back and things are cracked. Dude, it felt so amazing. I wanted to make all kinds of hey, I'm gay now jokes because the dude was gay. But honestly, he was phenomenal, man.
I bet.
He was deep. At one point, he's pushing on my right ass cheek and I can feel it in my quad. Then I can feel it in my shoulder when he's pushing on my ass cheek. So basically, everything on my right side was super tight. You've had massages before?
I've had a few. I haven't had as many as I should.
Legal ones or I don't know what you guys do.
Yes, legal ones. But I mean, I'll tell you what. My biggest problem every time I get a massage is they always have a hard time because I'm always so tense.
I was really bad.
And it's tough to just they're like, relax. You got to loosen up. You got to relax. And I'm like, I am relaxed. Wait, you can get more relaxed than this is relaxed to me. I'm laying here. My clothes are off. I got this towel on. And
you're real vulnerable.
Relaxed.
Yeah.
Exactly. Vulnerable, So it's like, how much more relaxed do I get like this? So that's always been a problem for me.
Yeah.
But the moment I don't know, maybe it's just you feel somebody else's hands on you and you're just getting that muscle tissue just pressed and you're just like, I can't reach that, so I can't do that to myself.
Yeah.
And he's just like, wow, that feels
rough,
but good.
He was so deep in my calves because look what my calves are carrying, right? That's a big time job for those guys.
Yeah.
So he's working my calves. And what blew me away was he massages my Achilles. Have you ever had somebody push and massage your Achilles?
Oh, man.
Dude.
Well, I'd say maybe once.
It was amazing.
And I'm still looking for her.
Hey, well, her name's David, and he's at Massage Envy in Shirts.
David, Massage Envy in Shirts. I'm coming to see you.
You've got your ankle, right? You've got that little round bone or whatever on the outside of your ankle.
Oh, yeah.
There's ligaments or something underneath that bone. He took his thumb and he kept running it underneath that ligament or that bone area.
Oh, that was a wrap.
Nina almost got left, man.
Hey, you know Nina what? That'll do it. That'll do it. Nina, but you need to pick up the...
She ain't going to step up her game, man.
You need to step up.
She's hoping David steals me. But I tell you what, man, I'm a fan. I think that it'll be a regular thing.
There you go.
A lot of it is, and the other thing is letting just somebody touch you from head to toe.
That's it right there. Yeah, I mean, essentially that's it. I mean, hey, you cannot tell me
Nina
you don't
doesn't
get the
touch
tickles
me from head to toe.
Whenever your dog starts licking your hand or your arm. you cannot tell me that you're just like, I know I should tell you to whoop away, but that kind of feels kind of good.
Well, it's funny because we kept cracking jokes. She said, "What if your wiener moves?" And I said, I'll let you know if it does. And it was funny because I told her, I said, she goes, "Did your wiener move?" And I said, "No." I said, "I thought it might." I said, "But it was actually my testicles sticking to the table when I was moving." And I thought it was wiener movement, but it was not. So, we're still together. We're still together. Hey, so I brought us this stuff too, man.
What do you got there, man?
So they're not advertising for me yet. They probably never will, but it's called
say that now.
1845 Meat Company.
Ooh.
So they're out of New Braunfels. They're pretty new. Ooh. And so 1845, I think, was the... Have you been here?
No, I just honestly, for some reason, every time someone tells me, "Oh, go check out this spot," or "I got this product," and I'll be like, "Where's it from?" And they'll say New Braunfels, and I'm like, "Dude, for some reason, everything New Braunfels just seems a little bit more authentic than San Antonio."
Well, you know what's awesome, and real quick, just 1845. I think that was the year New Braunfels was founded.
Ooh,
So
okay.
they're a meat market. They've got a bunch of freezers. You walk in, they have all kinds of like dried meat and stuff you can cook.
Nice.
Phenomenal, dude. You're gonna love this stuff.
Well, I'm looking forward to it.
This is smoked pork tenderloin. Ooh. So we'll see how deep we can get into it.
And it's already cooked? It looks like it's already smoked?
It's been smoked, so you can eat it cold.
Okay.
You can even heat it up, put it in a sandwich, but typically
legit.
eating cold is how people typically eat it.
That looks legit. Hey,
we'll get into this
the
too.
military needs to adapt those and put those in the MREs. That'd be nice.
Nina loves MREs.
Are
She's
you
gotten
serious?
a couple of them. And she
Wow.
likes them. But you know what she likes? Over-processed food.
What flavor or what type of MRE? I got to ask that.
You know what? She told me, but I listened to 40% of what she tells me. So I don't remember.
Nina, he's joking.
No, I'm serious. She knows it too. But you know what I think she likes more? I think she likes opening that shit. You know, I think she likes the different packaging. She likes, it's like a game. So
There you
I
go.
think she enjoys that part. What's your favorite MRE?
Does she know how to turn them into a bomb?
No.
Yeah, you can turn them in. We used to
Well,
call them MRE bombs.
She turns them into a bomb, but it's probably 20 minutes later in the bathroom.
Depending on which one she had. Depending on which one she had.
Which one's your favorite?
I'll tell you what, man. I actually do. I can tell you one of my first. Actually, it was my second deployment, and we had to basically live off MREs for
really?
32 days, and I don't know that number just for no reason.
32 days.
Yeah, I mean, who was counting though?
So-
But 32 days MREs.
Is it good for you food? Like, or do you end up constipated?
I'll tell you what, it's survivability food. It's focused to keep you keep you alive in any environment, whether it be cold, hot, and still be functional as a soldier, you know, physically and mentally. You know, you need those calories, you need those carbohydrates, you just need the proper nutrition. And each meal, I believe has like 2,000 calories. I think each meal
really
consists of, with everything, if you eat everything. So
it's like Nina's cooking; it'll make a turd.
Well, I'll tell you what. You eat too many of them,
you won't be making a turd.
You're not going to be making a turd for a while. And sometimes I feel like that was the sole purpose, though, because
oh really?
You're not. And I'll tell you, when you're sitting in a convoy that is rolling up, and I'm speaking on for experience, you're sitting in a convoy with 18 trucks, 18 gun trucks. That's a long convoy, and you're going from point A to point B. That guess what? When that fifth truck in the line says, "Hey, we need to pull over so we can take a shit," it doesn't work like that in the military.
Do you think that's thought out?
There's no rest stops. You got to figure it out.
Do you think that's thought out? Do you think they're giving you calories and making sure you don't take a dump?
A lot of soldiers will agree.
That's
a lot of soldiers will agree with you on
because you got to admit a lot of that stuff's over thought through.
It certainly is. It certainly is.
Try that son bitch.
All right, let's see here. Okay.
What do you think?
Oh man.
Mm-hmm.
I apologize if you hear me chew.
Don't apologize. Let him be jealous. Don't apologize.
1845.
Pork tenderloin, man.
Pork tenderloin from New Braunfels.
We were actually eating the one I bought for my sister, so she's a shit out of luck.
Uh-oh. Sorry.
Sorry, Barbara.
Sorry. We get you another one.
Next Christmas when I pass out for Christmas gifts.
Come visit. That's good.
So we were talking a little bit earlier about all kinds of things. You are currently in the military. Mm-hmm. How long have you been enlisted?
It'll be 12 years next month.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you told me I can't ask you what you do. But let me ask you this.
I just can't go into detail.
Sure. But let me ask you this. When you're trying to be a good leader and produce good leaders,
there you go.
what are some of the things that you think are easy to convey to people, and what are some of the things that are difficult to get people to understand? When you have such a variety of personalities, what are some of the easy things and some of the more difficult things?
Well, I'll tell you right off the hand. The biggest one is example. You know, every leader will have their own characteristics or their own way of leading, you know. And everyone has their own experiences that they could apply to the table, you know. But as for me, I'm a firm believer in example, you know, and I'm a firm believer in, hey, if I'm going to tell you to do something, I'm telling you to do it and how to do it, because that's how I did it, you know, and I'll be there to help you if you need any questions or you have issues or you come up with some special challenges along the way. And I've done it. So it's what I call the lead from the front mentality. And that is, it's because that is whatever you were exposed to, that mentorship that you were brought up with as a leader, because we all start at the bottom. You know, in the military, you start at the bottom. In the enlisted, you start at the bottom. I came in as a PFC, private first class, you know. So I came up and I had leaders that I was looking up to. And I was like, hey, that's who I want to be. And then you meet another leader. That's who I want to be. That's the position I want. And along the way, though, you're not forgetting where you came from, you know. And that's a big thing, too, that leaders got to remember now is as fast as you go up that chain, don't forget where you started. Don't forget where you came from, because when you're giving out those orders or that direction, know that you used to be the one executing those orders in that direction. So think about that when you apply that to your team. And leading by example, leading from the front would be a good way right off the bat how I answer that, because regardless of what their personality type is, when they see you grinding and pushing yourself and coming in early, staying late if you have to, they see that effort, they see that energy, and they know that that's the standard of that position in that leadership role. Well, that's what I want to be like. You know, that's the example, you know. So I got to be accountable to them as they are going to be accountable to me. And if you think of it like that. So it comes really down to me taking ownership of that role, and I'm going to do it. You know, I'm going to do it accordingly. I'm going to do it to plan. I'm going to make my bosses look good, and I'm going to make my team look good. They're my resume, and my bosses are going to do my evals. There you go. So kind of meet in the middle.
So do you think that personality traits in an individual can be the difference between finding being a leader easy or difficult, depending on their personality trait? I mean, if you've got somebody, for example, you're talking about leading from the front, like a lot of people will, you know, they may not understand what's going on at particular times, or maybe your background or your history, but when they visually see you doing something that they're going to be expected to do eventually, it's easier when they have that visual, right? Because there's no conversation, there's no me trying to find a way to convey that to you verbally, or try and change your mind. But when I do it physically and you've seen me do it, and now I'm going to ask you to do the same, that's a little bit easier to swallow. But I guess when you don't have somebody that has that lead from the front mentality, maybe it's more difficult, because now they've got to verbally try and convince these people of the task that they need done.
You're actually right, and you make a good point, because that does exist. That does exist in the military, and I'm assuming just in corporations and businesses as a whole. Leadership styles are different, you know, but a good leader, to me, is adaptable, you know. So a good leader, and you're going to see that in today's military, that's been one of the biggest challenges too for a lot of leaders, is you have to adapt to those different personalities, you know. Recently, I could speak off just straight from experience that I may have a soldier, you know, who is very introverted, you know, and came from a background, an upbringing where they didn't have a father, they didn't have that male mentorship, they didn't have that male guidance upbringing, you know, they didn't have that, or brothers or sisters. They were very just to themselves and reading books or whatever, you know, so they're very introverted, you know, so they will respond differently if I went up to them, as opposed to that other soldier who grew up with like 4 brothers on the farm in like
always
southern Alabama and always getting beat up and always fighting. So if I tell this one soldier, hey, what you did is messed up, we're going to fix it, you know, or go fix yourself or something, you know, in that form. And of course I wouldn't say like that, but I may say that to this soldier over here who's used to hearing stuff like that and grew up in that upbringing, he's just gonna be like, hey, Roger, okay, too easy, I'll fix it. But then I say that to this soldier, same way, but because of his personality, he's gonna be like kind of shut down, shrivel up, you know, or lose that, like, hey, I don't really want to work with you no more, you know. So I have to adapt my leadership style, you know.
How do you break through to a guy like that? Because I'll be honest with you, I grew up with a bunch of siblings and friends that we busted balls, man. You know, if we weren't giving you a hard time, something was wrong. You know, and so it's different when you have somebody that's introverted. Maybe they had some sort of trauma to them in their childhood that's kind of made them that way. But when you need to get them to perform, and maybe part of them performing well is to get out of that introverted mindset. Mm-hmm. Everybody's different, and it sounds like you approach it that way. It almost sounds like you don't have a blanket fix for everybody. You look at the individual. What do I need to get through this individual? But when you have somebody super introverted that you want to break them from that, how do you go about doing that?
I'll tell you, man, in two words, shared understanding.
Explain that.
Yeah, shared understanding. An important characteristic in my leadership style. I feel like it's an important characteristic that all leaders should have. It's called shared understanding, and in that you are gaining an understanding of that soldier or that individual that you're leading. You're gaining an understanding of, hey, an upbringing. You know, where'd you come from? You know, you're getting to know the individual. You got to know who you lead. So you're applying that so you can understand where they live, what kind of upbringing what experiences they've gone through, you know, what situations are they currently dealing with that are not sharing with you, what mental challenges are they facing, or even more, what goals are they doing on their personal life outside of the military? Are they going to school? What are they doing, you know, that could affect their train of thought here in the workplace? You know,
we're going to talk, man. I'm sorry.
Ooh,
don't cut yourself.
And but at the same time, when you do that as a leader, they're also understanding you. So my job is I'm going to get a shared understanding of you, but I'm also going to give you a shared understanding of the task and the purpose I'm giving you. You know, I have to provide, as a leader in the military, the Army has it, a leader is defined by the Army as an individual who provides three things: purpose, direction, and motivation. So not only am I going to tell you what to do, I'm going to tell you why you need to do this. And not only that, I'm going to give you the motivation to execute, you know, and drive forward, and the reason why, you know, because I want you to take my job one day. You know, one day you're going to rise up in the ranks and you're going to know what right is right, you know. And so as long as you understand that, I got to give you that understanding while I'm also understanding you, you know. And also, as a leader, if I have that understanding, I know that whenever I get that task, I know, hey, you know what? So-and-so can't do that, but so-and-so can. And you know why? Because that's their strong suit. That's what they're into. They do that in their personal life. They love that. They already they told me that's what they want to focus on. That's what their mission, whole goal in the military is to focus on that, and they will drive forward. As opposed to so-and-so said they want to do this. So
I guess it's also finding you're putting guys and gals in places where they can be successful.
Talent management.
Okay.
Talent management.
And
a leader has to execute that as well. Talent management, shared understanding.
Do you find, this is kind of a dumb question, but I'm asking it
There's
because,
never a dumb question.
Oh, I got a whole bunch of them, man.
Never a dumb question.
Because I ran across this.
How many years in the military I have, dude? I've heard it all.
Do you find there to be more people that are a little autistic? I'll tell you why. Because I work in the engineering industry.
Okay.
And there's a lot of autism, man. It may be a touch of it. It may be high functioning. But one thing that I've learned, I came from a small town, right, with like-minded people, and we were all the same. We were all raised the same, and we had of course, we're individuals, but we all had a similar thought process.
Yeah.
So one thing that I always struggled with when I came to the city was running across people that I didn't understand why they didn't understand what I understood, you know? And then it was funny because I met this one guy, and we kind of talked about him a little bit earlier, but I remember Nina telling me, she's like, he's probably Asperger's. And I'd never thought about it. And I remember her saying, I said, well, how do I deal with him? And Nina's a special needs teacher.
Yeah.
She said, well, he's kind of like a computer. And so I said, okay.
Yeah.
So I need to give this guy information and wait for input and output. So it was so I had such a difficult time with him the entirety of his time there. When I finally figured out how to interact with him, he didn't hang around very much longer. He was already moving on. But it was so interesting because here was a guy that frustrated me for years. Mm-hmm. When Nina told me that, man, it turned into, hey, here, Gabe, do this and be done in 20 minutes and come see me. Because it was one of those tasks where it was like, if I gave this to you and said, hey, here, go do this, he would take all day to do it. But if I told him to do it in 20 minutes, he'd do it in 20 minutes, you know? And so it was still kind of difficult because it was like, okay, well, I still got to manage my tasks, but now I got to check on this guy every 20 minutes. But when I slowly started to realize that there was a lot of that in the engineering industry. And so it's awesome because there's a lot of math. There's a lot of hyper-focused on individual tasks. Mm-hmm. And folks that have a touch of that are really good at that, you know, so they perform well. Oh, yeah. But you guys have to see everything, you know, and it's not like public school where they go evaluate a kid and they go, oh, he needs to be in this class, you know, or is it? I mean, you guys probably have everybody and everybody's intermingled, and that's just the way it is. Is that how it is?
You definitely are right. It's like you mentioned before, there are definitely multiple personalities, multiple upbringings, and a lot of individuals now, you know, especially in the military, you know, are seeking out behavioral health, you know, because that toughness or that readiness that we are basically all about in the military's readiness is that factors both physically and mentally, you know. So you have a physical readiness and you have that mental readiness, and a lot of soldiers, you know, sometimes can overexert themselves or they go through some personal stuff, you know, and it can cause them mentally to just not be mission in tuned. You know, mm-hmm. They're not mission ready because their mind is not, they're going through something.
Who's responsible for monitoring the group in that way?
So I'll tell you what, I
would imagine
man,
there's got to be a lot of people that ignore their symptoms.
I'll tell you what, it is a tough thing right now, but it comes really down to one, having a leader who has that understanding. You know, one, it starts with that shared understanding that I referred to earlier, because you want to, be approachable. As a leader, you have to make sure that you are approachable, you know, but between everybody that you're leading, no matter if they like you or not, like, don't even worry about that. You know, a wise mentor of mine in the military used to tell me, you be the leader they need, not the leader they want, you know. And in the military, that's what it comes down to. If you're not there to be their friend, you're not there to be their best friend or their therapist or anything. No, you're there to be the leader they need to take them through either the good times and the tough times. You know, they need a leader for both. And so you got to be that leader. And sometimes, you know, along with that, you have to have that understanding of who you're leading. And if I can look at an individual on my team and I'll be like, hey, the past 2 weeks, you've been performing up to standard. You've been coming in early and everything. But the past couple of days, though, or lately, you've just I've noticed you're to yourself and you're coming in late. You know, is there something going on or something you need to talk about? You know, is there an issue? You know, I want you to know that you can tell me or you can approach or talk to me. You know, don't feel like you're handling this yourself. And a lot of the times, if you take that extra step, they're already like, okay, now that you asked me, I am going through this, or I'm going through this divorce, or my wife just left me and I've just been at home by myself for the past couple of days, so I haven't been sleeping, And then it's like, okay, you know what? Well, I'm glad you told me. And two, I don't know if you're aware, but there are resources and programs and professionals who are available within this AO area of operation that we work in. That's what AO stands for. Within this AO that are ready and prepared to assist you. I don't know if you're aware of that. And a lot of times they're like, I wasn't aware of that. And I'm like, well, here's the phone number, because your mental readiness is important to the team and it's important to the mission. It's important to me. So we need to get you there.
Yeah.
Don't feel like you can't come and talk to me. So
do folks respond to that well, or do you have to really get it out of some people? Is it something where they want the help at times, or is it like a lot of people that, I think I'm that way. Like I don't want to, even if somebody offers me an opportunity to get some assistance, my initial response is no, I don't need it. And that's so not always best for us.
No, it's funny that you said that because, yeah, you're right, because there is something you will get those hard-headed individuals.
Are you one of them?
Yeah. Yes, I am one. I can definitely say I was, but I also had a different upbringing. I had a different upbringing, and I was really, my upbringing, and then not only that, my upbringing in the military. Also plays a lot.
Are you first generation, or did you have other folks?
No, I was the first one in my family to join the military, and then also I'm an older brother. I'm the oldest of 6. So growing up, I've always just had that mentality to be the one that's standing in that storm. Regardless of how I feel, put my emotion aside.
You've had big brother responsibilities a long time.
Yeah, that's really what it is. And that carried on with me in the military. It carried on with me as a leader in the military, and it continues as I'm a senior leader now, but at the same time though, we live in a different time, and you know what, one thing I did learn, and it comes down to accepting that vulnerability on the mental side, and the mind can play crazy games on all of us, And in the military, definitely, let me tell you, the games, But just as a man, the mind can play different games, and emotions can play. I don't care what anybody says. If you're a man, like, you're still going to be emotional. You have emotions, whether we show them or not, but we have emotions.
That's one thing that I think I like to see more. We, as dudes, sometimes you just got to man up, right? And there's a lot of people that say, that's old school way of thinking. But a lot of times that's what it comes down to. But at the same time, I've talked to a couple people before, and I like the idea of dudes showing emotion, because we need to know that it's all right, because there's other people that go through similar situations, and when they can see somebody, working through their emotions and maybe being a little more emotional and then getting through it, I think that helps other people. I like the idea of dudes being there for dudes, because we always have that camaraderie when we're young, or for you guys when you're in the military, you continue that camaraderie.
Yep.
But as you get older, you find yourself being alone a lot more, and I like the idea of dudes being there for dudes. Everybody, women the same way, kids, children, but it seems like guys get left out a whole lot,
No, you're actually, you bring up a good point, because there are times, where there are, especially, I would say it's more purview in the veteran community, because of the fact that you take these dudes. Oh, dude, I love this pork right here.
Dude.
Yeah.
We got a whole bunch.
Nice. In the veteran community, man, and it's sad. It really is sad that I feel like, I had a good mentor of mine just recently. In April, he killed himself after being retired for 2 years out of the military. And he had a well-endowed career. This dude, if there's one quote he used to always say is, there was no greater honor or greater position he ever served in his whole Army career than when he was a platoon sergeant for us. And he would always keep in touch with us, you know, but when he killed himself, and it really took a toll on me. I took I had to take some time where I just like, dude, I got to process this, because this was somebody who you were like, this was somebody who would pull us aside if something was wrong, you know? And in my mind,
he was the go-to guy when people needed a go-to guy.
He was the go-to, you know? To me, he was the GOAT in the Army, you know? And it was like, this guy's unstoppable. This guy is not one to worry about, because he's got it going. This guy's going to be good. He's going to do great things in life, you know? So when we got the news, you know, a bunch of us who were all in his platoon got into contact with each other, and we just kind of were like, dude, are you serious? Not him. This is false. This is fake news. This is a lie, you know? And, yeah. In the veteran community, though, to go what you were saying, though, you know, I feel like they start to lose that purpose, you know, sense of purpose. There's a big sense of purpose in the military with all of us.
Do you think that's kind of what pushes people over the edge? I mean, we talked about it a while back. The things that we expect young men and women to go through, and then be able to come home and, hey, go have kids and barbecue on Sundays, you know?
Yeah.
And it's like, I would imagine those experiences, and I have to imagine because I haven't experienced them, but I would imagine those experiences linger forever. You know, I was telling you about my father-in-law. You know, my father-in-law is 90, and he still remembers things. He still thinks about those things from time to time. And maybe not having that, you know, when you get into retirement and you no longer have, you know, that routine, that camaraderie.
Or the camaraderie, like,
you know, you start reflecting on those negative things more often than what you did when you were busy.
Yeah.
You know?
And you can feel alone and dark. Honestly, you can feel alone and in the dark at times. And nobody around you in your circle would understand at that point. You know, I'm not saying you're alone, but mentally you're alone, because you just gave 20 plus years of your life, 20 plus years of getting told what time, what location, what uniform. Like, that was what you were told. It was a task and purpose for 20 plus years. And then you worked your way up to a leadership role where now you're enforcing that standard. Hey, here's the task, here's the purpose. You're taking care of soldiers, you're deploying with soldiers, you're going through some critical times, some critical experiences, and you're bringing them back. And you have all that, and there's your task and there's your purpose, and you're being there in that camaraderie, the teams. I mean, you're just doing it all. And then you come back, and then you get a piece of paper saying, hey, thank you for 24 years of your service. Good luck, you know, and have a good life. Yeah. And then you're going to what we call Fort Couch. You know?
Got you.
You go to Fort Couch, and then reality hits you. You know, reality hits you, you know, and you get this job, and you're working for, you know, manager Joe Snuffy, who's like never done a 23-year-old fresh out of college or whatever. He's just like, hey, you know, welcome part of the team, blah, blah, blah. We need you to do this, though. And you're just like, what's going on, you know? This isn't my life.
That's crazy, man. You know, and not comparing the two. But, you know, I talk to nieces and nephews when they graduate high school, and it's kind of a little joke that I do with them where I tell them, hey, enjoy everything that you're enjoying now, because when you graduate, you're no longer cute. Nobody wants to help you, you know? and it almost seems where it's similar, where it's like you commit yourself to a lifestyle and you commit yourself to your country. You know, everything is extremely structured, and there's so many people that get out of the military or retire from the military, and they're functional and they do well and they live a happy long life, you know. But it seems like for some people, for whatever reason, whether their life isn't structured the same as those people who are successful, or maybe there's something else going on, or maybe they didn't quite get the help that they needed or didn't seek the help that they needed, that they can't function without having that structure, and that sucks. That sucks that we can't do more for people like that. That sucks that we can't, and I say we can't, but it sucks that we don't do more for people like that. It sucks that there's not, you always talk about, and I hate to say this because I'm not trying to fucking compare the two, but
by all means, you say it.
People get out of prison, and they go on parole and they're supervised and they're watched and they get into programs and there's funding for things and they go into a certain workforce and maybe it's not ideal, but they're still almost like this weaning process, because they don't want them to repeat and go back to prison. And it's like, why don't we do that for veterans? Why isn't there something where there's a process? And there might be, I don't know, but something where it's like, hey, you're retired, you're no longer doing the duties that you've done before, but we're not letting you go completely.
Yeah.
We still want to check on you. We want to check on your progress. We want to check them, almost like having a PO for a person coming out of prison,
essentially,
because you've taken somebody and you have structured their entire life for them. And then 25 years later, good luck.
Good luck. Thank you.
I think anytime there's a problem, and maybe there's not an easy fix for things, but anytime there's a problem with veterans, it's like, I think we should run through hell to try and fix those issues for especially those people. For those folks, everything you've asked for them, everything you've requested from them. We talked the other day where I talked to my buddy Benny, and it was like, he gets deployed, and then it's like, hey, you've been out here too long. It's time to take some time off. Go hang out with your family. And it's like, how am I supposed to hang out with my family? I've been here a year. I've been here 10 months or whatever, and then I got to come back in a month and do this another 10 months. It's like, how do you expect a human being to turn that switch? And maybe some people are good at that, but for your average Joe Blow, how do you expect somebody to turn it off and go hang out with your wife and kids for a month? Go hang out with them for 2 weeks. And then come back out here and get back in the job you were doing. That's asking a lot,
dude. I'll be straight up honest with you. I know that myself. I love what I do. I take pride in the uniform I wear, and I take pride in my job, and I take pride of being a leader. And I'll be real with you. I dread. You'll hear a lot of military men. I work around a lot of them, and they're just like, they're counting down the days till they retire. I'm one of those guys where I'm like, dude, I'm dreading retirement. I'll be real with y'all. Like, I'm not looking forward to it. I know it's coming. Time's not going to stop. Life's going to keep going. And I'm just like, dude, I'm dreading that first week after retirement. That's what I'm dreading, because this is all I've known.
How far are you from retirement?
I got about 8 years before I can drop my packet. And 8 years go by like that, dude. But, it's something where I'm like, yeah, I should be excited. Should look forward to it, and you know what? And there is a part of me that's like, dude, you know what? Hey, I am. And I'm trying to set myself up as far as like, hey, I got to keep my mind and body going. What's going to be the next chapter? Let me start focusing on that, because I know time's going to go by fast. But at the same time, I'm like, dude, it's coming. I'm not looking forward to it, but I know it's coming. And do
you have a game plan?
Oh yeah, I got a game plan.
Is it top secret, or are you gonna
tell me? It's not top secret. I'll tell you. One thing recently I've been really getting into is trying to get into the real estate game, man.
Okay.
Part of my job right now is talking to people, and not only talking to people, but understanding people. Looking out for their best interests. And I'll be real with you. Just in my time here, I've a lot of my soldiers, and battle buddies who I've worked with have all given me horrible stories.
About retirement or real estate?
Real estate.
Oh, gotcha.
And what their experiences are. And I'm like, dude, that is crazy. That is crazy. And and every time I hear one, I'm like, you're not the only one. And then you're not the only one.
What are some of the negative things?
Programs that the state of Texas has when it comes to taxes. Basically what it is in the military, we're taught to short-term and long-term plan. We don't just plan for the 3 to 5 weeks, or that 3 to 5 months, but we're also plan, all right, 6 months, 9 months out. We're going to have a long-term plan. Excuse me. And so I'm like, dude, I have yet to engage with a realtor or any kind of realist or broker who basically, I'll be real with you. I think the only primary concern is the commission. I mean, I, no offense to any of you realtors out there, no offense. Hey, I'm not, and this may not be you.
Especially since he's trying to be one. So,
hey, get ready. We're
just brainstorming.
You're going to have somebody, you're either going to want to be on my team or you're going to get ready because it's going to be a fight. And I'm used to fights. But it's just one of those things where, hey, you know what? If I can keep my mind and body going, and still fulfilling a task where, hey, I'm looking after the fulfillment and best interests of what I've been doing for my soldiers, and I can do it on the outside, and not just for veterans, or other soldiers or military who are looking to all these young soldiers who have no knowledge and they're just looking to buy their first home and they don't know what they're getting into. They just know, hey, here's these, sign them, here you go. And they're just like, there's a stack of like 30 paper chairs. I don't know what I'm signing. Okay. And then 2 years down the road, they're like, what is, it really can be. It really can be. And so to imagine having that realtor, who's going to come over here and just be like, check it out. All right. Words like duty, integrity, selfless service, accountability. I have lived for those for the past 20 plus years of my life. And I can assure you that you and your family, those are going to be my priority concerns as we continue and get you through this process and ensuring the financial and the physical and full security for you and your family and your loved ones through this tough or could be a stressful or complicated investment process. But understand that. And I will execute all my duties and take ownership in every role to get you through this process. Sign this paper and let's go.
What's funny is we've got a handful of friends who are realtors or in the real estate business, and we still love Carl Muno. Carl Muno, I think, was ex-Air Force, I think.
There you go.
But, Carl was just a genuine dude. And I say was like he's not still, but just a genuine dude. We loved him because he was so easy to talk to. Nothing was pressure.
Yeah.
He gave you the information you needed.
Bottom line up front. That's what we call it.
He never pushed us to do anything. He always gave us options, and he followed every year. We hear from him for Christmas.
That's awesome.
And we bought our house almost 14 years now.
That's awesome.
And we still hear from him. I've got really close friends who sell real estate, and if I bought another house, I would buy it from Carl, man.
Yeah.
Because he left that impression.
He's got that impact. He left that impression. He's left that impact. And see, that's
one of our friends is smoking hot. And I would still go with Carl. Melissa, I know you're listening, Melissa. So.
Uh-oh. Hey, like I said, to all you realtors out there, I apologize. And I'm not putting you all in this category. Just know that I'm coming into the game. So
are you in it now, or are you waiting your 8 years?
I'm actually, I am exploring some avenues right now that I'm not going to go too much detail in, but I'm exploring some avenues now to kind of get the ball rolling on the side, and more to establish a network, I guess you would say.
Well, I couldn't imagine
I'm a very team-oriented guy.
Yeah.
And so, hey, if there's some individuals out there that want to operate as a team, and we'll go for accordingly, and that's what I'm more pursuing, definitely more pursuing.
Is that your main avenue, or do you have a couple of options?
There are some options. So the way it works, the real estate process, at least for here in the state of Texas, is once you get licensed, which I'm in the process of, is getting that license. you take that exam, which that's all I have left. I'm about to take the exam here coming up. And once you get that, though, you have to sign on to a brokerage for them to activate your license.
So is that like Keller Williams and stuff like that?
So yeah, Keller Williams, JB Goodwin, Caldwell Williams, all these big, realtor brokerages, and you operate basically under them.
Can you start a new brokerage firm?
You have
or
to
is that
have
impossible?
You can, but you have to have a broker's license first.
Okay.
So you have to just to apply for your broker's license, you have to be a realtor for a while and for a certain amount of time and get this amount of training and classes. And then you have to have like a sale every year for a certain amount of years. And then you can go ahead and get your broker's license.
Because I never realized how all that worked. But then, like I said, Nina's got a hot friend and some other people that do it. And it's kind of like, well, everybody works for like a handful of brokerage firms. So it's almost like trying to compete with like Pepsi and Coca-Cola, I would imagine, if you try to start your own brokerage firm. But
I mean,
how cool would that be to have a veteran brokerage firm?
There are a few. There are a few, actually, man. There are a few. I've gotten a few emails, actually, from a few, actually, and a lot of them are based out of Austin and based out of Killeen, Texas, where obviously we have a big base out there.
Yeah.
Formerly known as Fort Hood. Now it's Fort Cavazos.
Who's that? What do they name that after?
They named it. You know what, dude? It's bad on me the fact that I don't know this because they literally just changed the name like 2 months ago from Fort Hood. But yeah, it's named after Fort Cavazos, who was an Army leader at some time. And right now, the military's gone through this they're renaming it, they're rebranding a bunch of bases right now. They just
they're identifying as something else.
Yeah,
I'm playing with you, man.
I can't go too much into it, man. I gotta leave my opinions out of that.
We're living in a very interesting time. But you know what? This is my opinion on a lot of that stuff. Just in general, people always complain about certain things or the country or all kinds of things. And in my opinion, it's like, I think a lot of times people like to look at their current situation through goggles of the past.
Oh, dude.
And in my opinion, it's like, this is your country. This is your country now. This is your time to own what happens, And so to live in the past, and not to say not to acknowledge it. Of course, you got to remember the past, But at the same time, a lot of people like to look at it and say, "Well, I'm not a part of this," and it's like, "Oh, but you are. You're in it right now." And if you cared more about your situation, you would do things. You would, whether it's run for office or become a teacher or become more active in your community. That's how you make your community and way of living more suited to your lifestyle, So to me, I don't know. It's weird because I'm 46, right? And I
thought you were 28.
Dude, I wish I was 28. I'm 46. My cardiologist says I'm 86. But it's very interesting because I'm at this weird age, right? And I have a bad mentality toward a lot of stuff at times. But it's like when I was younger, after high school, I was always chasing a dollar, right? And I wasn't a fan of college. I wasn't a fan of all that good stuff. I went to B County for a little while, but I wasn't really a university kind of guy. I did go for architectural classes for a little while, but I'm just not a classroom guy. I like to learn by doing and observing, but so I was always chasing a dollar, right? I was always trying to make some money, and here I am in the same industry I've been in for 22, 23 years. And I always joke with people when I say I'm just as broke now as I was when I was 20, I just started. And, but I'm in this weird phase of life where I've accumulated a lot of stuff. And now I look at it and I go, what do I need all this for? Why did I buy it? And I see things that I bought maybe 20 years ago that I never threw away. And I'm like, man, when I bought that, I thought I desperately needed that. And I didn't, So now I find myself kind of cutting back on certain things, material things. But then I talked to my nephew, right? And I'm like, you need to pay more attention to what's going on in your surroundings, in your country, because, in a weird way, in kind of like a lazy way, because like I told you earlier, I'm a pretty lazy guy. But in a lazy way, I'm 46. This is real soon going to be their country, you know? And it's like 20 years, I'll be 66, and then it's all downhill from there, right? So it's kind of like, it's currently my country, but it's fixing to be yours. Yeah. And so I start seeing things through the lens of the shit that I buy.
Yeah.
Do I really care about that? Do I really care about certain things? I start focusing more on people.
Yeah.
Right? And less of people's perspective of things. It's like, what is impacting people directly? What can I do differently? It's like even with this podcast. I love that you're here. I call this a personality podcast, right? Because we're just shooting the shit and hanging out,
It's perfect.
But I love doing informative stuff too. Whether it's the stuff with Victor Avila with the border, or it's the sex trafficking girls or the special needs people, it's like, to me, I like doing that because I want people to know about that stuff and understand it more. Yeah. And it's almost like I don't want to say that I've turned my back on some things, but it's like I'm really the older I get, the more I nitpick on what I'm concerned with, because it's almost like, okay, I'm 46. I'm more concerned with what can I deal with currently that we can do something about immediately. And, I sit there and I look at like politics and things that are happening, and then I do a little research and I go, man, this has been happening forever. And it's like
a lot of times,
did we not do our part to change things, or are things just unchangeable?
Or it's history just repeating itself.
That too.
You're absolutely right, and that a lot of that dreads for me too. I have a 10-year-old son, and
charming as hell.
Yeah, he I don't know where he gets it from.
He's a good kid, man.
I don't know where he gets it from.
When we met him, me and Nina left, and I think we were in different cars. And when we really like somebody, we call each other and we go, oh man, I really like that kid. And she's like, oh man, I really liked him too. He's so well behaved. And then we start going, because we didn't have children, right? So we just evaluate everybody else's kids. Mm-hmm. And then we're like, when you see a kid that well behaved, that well mannered, around people he doesn't know in a public space, you go, that says a lot about his parents. That says a lot about the people that were involved in raising him up to this point. And whether it's parents, grandparents, step-parents, whatever it is, people have their shit together. Yeah. And you go, fucking kudos to you guys.
Oh, that's awesome. So, whoa. I appreciate that encouragement there, but he's still a brat.
Well, I mean, they all are. So Nina's a 46-year-old brat, so. You know what? I bought her.
I didn't say it, Nina.
The reason I was late today.
Uh-oh.
She wanted a new stove. Our stove was kind of going out. Our stove was going bad.
That's a big purchase right there.
It was pretty decent. It was more than what I wanted.
Fancy stove?
Is
it gas or electric?
It's electric because that's what we got. But it's got the little air fryer and Bluetooth and
Bluetooth. What do you need Bluetooth on a stove?
Apparently, I can preheat it from work. So we just got to figure out how that works.
Damn, they got Bluetooth stoves.
but this is the funny thing. We were talking today before I left, and the "you love me" conversation happened. I was like, yeah, I love you. What are you talking about? And I said, I bought you a fucking stove and you don't even cook. Of course I love you. So that thing will be brand new. If anybody needs to buy a stove in the next 12 years, we probably won't even open the oven because she does not cook. But yeah, that's what we're doing today. So that's why I showed up late.
Hey, there's nothing wrong with that, dude.
But yeah, spoiled brat her. Your son, not so much. He's a good kid.
Yeah, no, I don't know where he gets it from, but he is a good kid. I love him.
Do you find, and I'm going to ask you something real personal. You don't have to answer. You don't want to. Do you and his mother see eye to eye a lot of times? Do y'all get along real well as far as when it comes to him? Because it seems like you guys would, because it shows in him.
You know what? For the most part, yes, we do. We do. I can definitely say in the beginning, in the beginning of the divorce, it was a little rough. It was a little challenging. It was a little rough because, one, you don't get married expecting to divorce, much less being in the military.
I know a couple people who did that.
Yeah. And,
they know who they are.
So, it was all new to me, and so that whole process, and then being in the military and being in my job, and then being separated from my son and separated from just a whole established circle that I once knew is no longer there no more. It can play a toll on you, and emotions can definitely kick in. And so it was a little rough in the beginning, but through time, through understanding and through conversation, and, we grew, we matured, and because in the end, especially when it comes to a divorce and it comes to when children are involved, you have to remember that focus is now shifted onto them. It's no longer about you. It should be about them and what's their best interests and what can you apply as a mother and a father from opposite ends to look out for their best interests and make sure that their upbringing is steady and strong, and that's all I've focused on is what do I got to do to ensure, and I want you to, at least I would care that you apply some understanding to me, for making sure that my son comes up this way. I don't want him to rely on tablets or social media to raise him. He's gonna have a mother and he's gonna have a father in the end, regardless. And there's power in presence. And so I'm gonna do everything I can.
They live in the same area or no?
No, they live in New Mexico.
Okay.
So obviously, when I say power and presence, though, presence can come in multiple forms. And, I FaceTime him, video chat him every day. I'm involved in a lot. We game together, and I try to do everything I can and take advantage of every resource I can that can apply to him.
Yeah.
So we stay attached and it's tough. It's tough when when he comes, because when he comes and visits, man, we have a blast. We have a blast. He knows it's daddy time, but it's always saying goodbye. It's always rough. Oof. I get a lot of dust in my eyes. Let me tell you, a lot of dust in my eyes.
Your eyes start sweating.
That last hug, man, I get that lot of dust in my eyes, and he gets the same thing, and I see a lot of myself in him, and that's one thing that really hits me the most. But to go back to what you were saying, though, man, I'm more worried. I always am just trying to set my son up for, hey, the world's going to be a different place when you're my age. And if there's anything I can do now to get you and better prepare you for that, I'm going to do it. And that's what my focus is, and that's where that focus is to get him prepared both mentally, physically, in any way, resourcefully. It's just instilling that, man, you're going to hit some tough times. I don't know what the world's going to look like at your time, but I want to make sure you're ready for it. You're not blindsided,
That's interesting. That's interesting because it makes me wonder. I feel, and again, not having kids, but it makes me think about things. It makes me wonder. A lot of times, I think we focus on politics and politicians, and
it's too easy. It's in your face
all the time, and a lot of what I think, and I'm guilty of it. A lot of what I think that we try and analyze and fix and address are those big picture items. And listening to you talk right now, I got a little idea of, yes, it's important to keep track of those things. It's important to keep focus on those things. It's important to keep politics and politicians in line. But it's more important to make sure you're raising a well-adjusted child. And I think ultimately that's how you fix the country, is when you're able to raise
I agree.
A well-adjusted young man or woman.
That's where it starts, honestly.
So they can be productive and they can be what the country needs to move forward.
I fully agree 110%, and that is my focus with my son. But if you look at now, I feel like, and I'm just going to be honest and transparent here. It's my opinion, you know. But if you
let's ruffle some feathers, Gabe.
Oh no,
Gabe Square.
Oh no, we're about to ruffle some feathers. No, but if you look at just what's going on in the world, you know, it's a form of chaos, you know. And when I say chaos, it's a big mental chaos right now. We're going through a mental warfare. I would say a lot of kids, and it starts with the kids now, you know, that just don't know. There's a lack of mentorship. They don't have the guidance, or they're lacking the guidance or the proper guidance to enable them through those tough times, through those challenging times. I mean, I feel like it's to a point now where there's certain individuals now who just don't even know who they are. You know, they don't even know what their purpose is. They just don't even know. They don't know if they're this or they're that, or, I mean, they got to identify as this. I mean, it's just like they don't know. But they're going through these tough times, and at some point in their life, they face this real challenging time, and there was a void in getting them through it. There was a lack. There was an absence. You know, there was nobody to properly guide them to, hey, pull them aside and say, hey, you know what? I know you're going through this, and I'm sorry to tell you, but it's going to get harder. But I can assure you this. You can get through this, and you will. And here's how. And you know why? Because I got through it, you know, and your grandpa got through that, or your mom got through that, and here's how we're going to do it. You're not alone. You know, don't listen to this, don't listen to that. You're going to get through this. You know, you can do this. You're strong enough. You're capable. You got the potential. Let's exploit it, you know?
Yeah.
And there's a lot of that is, I feel like, just lacking. So right nowadays, I feel like people, especially people who are going through some tough times, especially mentally, they don't have that guidance. They don't have that somebody to pull them aside and be like, hey, here's how you get through it. Here's how you get through it. And what they do, I feel like, is it's too easy. What you fall back on in those times is you fall back on emotion. You know, you fall back on emotion, and then you make a decision based off emotion. And in the military, we're taught you don't do that. That's a big no-go. Don't make a decision based off emotion. And it's sad because you'll see people who go and do crazy things, you know, like crazy things. They'll go and shoot up a school, or go shoot up this and go shoot that and go do that. And I've noticed that a lot of it's men, you know, a lot of it's men. This is something I've observed, you know. And I don't know all the stats. I'm not you know, but this is just what I've seen, you know, up on the news and stuff. And I'm just like, I pay attention to little details like that. I pay attention to just like, I don't pay attention to race or nothing like that. I pay attention to, hey, that's a young man, average age between this time. Okay. And I look at the other shooter. I'm like, okay, another male, average age, middle age between this time and this time. There's something up. There's something up. And I don't know what is causing these dudes to act on such an emotion like that. Somebody didn't pull them aside and say, hey, man, what's wrong? What's going through your mind right now? What's going on? Hey, that's not the answer.
Yeah.
You know, I know you're capable of getting through this another way, and let's do it, because that's not the answer. But that's lacking. I feel like that's just lacking. So it's tough. It's tough.
Sometimes I wonder, it's got to be super hard to be a parent these days.
Oh, dude.
And part of me is kind of like, well, I've had conversations with family members before, and you know, we've talked about our younger nieces and nephews and stuff. And it's almost like, I would say, every generation technology evolves and there's more distractions, but never so much more as has there been probably the last 30 years.
Jeez.
Like, technology's taken off. And to be involved in technology requires you to not interact socially. You know, I always joke. I was like, the first dirty magazine I ever saw was in the woods there by the Little League field. And everybody I say that to
Hold on,
goes,
what's a magazine?
Dirty magazine.
No, what's a magazine?
It's a
I'm just kidding. I'm kidding.
It's like
you don't see them no more.
It's like a cheap people book for the kids. But it's like, that's all over everybody's phone. You know, there's constant distraction. There's constant, you know, all you see on social media are the good things, the highs, the lows. This is the epitome. This is what you need to achieve.
This is what you need to get, to feel successful.
Yeah.
You need to do this. You need the fancy car. You need the $1 million bank account.
Yeah. And like for us growing up, I'm 46. When I was growing up in the late 80s, early 90s, it was like we did a lot of face-to-face interaction, right? If you talk shit about somebody, you were probably going to get punched.
Get ready.
You were in the same area.
Talk shit, get hit.
You were in the
That's
same.
all,
yeah, and you were interacting with people. You dealt with your parents a lot more than what you do now. There's so many distractions now. I think that if a parent thinks they're going to raise their child the way they were raised, they can't, because there's too much going on. I've got buddies with kids that will have conversations. They're like, man, I don't know what to do.
Yeah.
Years ago, I talked to a friend of mine. He was having problems with his oldest son. And he said it's so hard to raise kids today because at school, on TV, social media, everything's telling them to be an idiot. Everything's telling them to show your body off,
Go eat Tide Pods.
Yeah, everything's telling them to do that. He's like, for me to convince my kid to be a good dude is making him an outcast socially. Nah. And it's just it's a difficult job for you guys, man.
It is tough. I'll tell you that right now. It is tough. It is tough. I mean, right now, I think the hottest topic between me and my son right now is how come he doesn't have a cell phone and all his classmates
And he's
do.
what, 10?
He's 10.
Yeah.
10 years old. A cell phone? Are you kidding me, dude? I know.
Hey, show him the bill and tell him that's why.
I'm more worried because of like what you said, though.
Yeah.
You said it earlier. You said technology's grown so fast that the amount of information and the access to it is so simple. And so, dude, you're just going to keep stuff in my face.
Dude, I'm telling you, man.
I'm just saying.
We'll end this podcast when we're done with the pork tenderloin.
Bro, what are you going to do when we're out of food here?
We'll pull the plug on this.
No, but there's so much information in this little thing right here.
Yeah.
And imagine a 10-year-old with this. And it's more of like, dude, you know what? We live in a world where now it's like this is a necessity. Mm-hmm. You cannot not have a cell phone. You're going to need it to stay in tune. And I know this. And I just know the time's coming where, I will get him one. But, dude, you're 10 years old. You're fine.
Yeah.
You're going to live without a cell phone right now. You're going to be just fine. You have everything else, but you don't need a cell phone right now. But here's why, okay? And if you feel like you're going through this or you're going through this mentally tough time because you don't have a phone, well, let me show you. You can get through this. And here's how we're going to do it. Why? Because I did it, and I didn't have a phone, and I was 10 years old. And here's what we used to do.
Yeah.
And we're going to get you through it. Hey, let's play some sports. Let's get involved in sports. And now he's all about it. He's all about basketball, soccer. He's all in that phase right now. And I'm like, just do it. Focus all your attention and energy on that, man. Get better, get faster, get stronger. Get mentally, physically tougher. And
I've got a buddy that's got a son, and I want to say he's maybe 10. And the wife, she has big boobs, but she was talking the other day, and she says, I love Ray. His name's Ray. We call him Ray.
Yeah.
I love Ray. She goes, I go to pick him up from school, and everybody's sitting in front of the school on their cell phone. And she's like, he's climbing trees, jumping out of trees, landing, doing the superhero, land.
Yeah.
He's playing on stuff. He's climbing things, and everybody's on their cell phone. She goes, and I love that that's where he's at right now.
Oh, that's awesome.
He just wants to play. He wants to run. Awesome. He wants to have a good time. He could care less about a cell phone.
I'll tell you what. I'll tell you what. It's kids like that who are going to end up being the ones that are surpassing and leading all those robots that are glued to their phone.
Well, when you think about it, they're learning to follow.
That's all they're doing.
That's all they're learning on that cell phone. Is learning
literally
to follow.
all it is being a follower. You are locked in the face. Yeah. Follow me. I
was telling buddy the other day, I said, what's crazy is it's being successful still takes a lot of hard work. It takes a lot of mental power. It takes a lot of will to be successful.
And resiliency.
Yeah. But I feel that this younger generation right now, it's going to be so much easier to be a winner
Oh, it's easy
because
now.
everybody is ready to follow.
It's easy.
I don't even think they teach critical thinking anymore in school. And if you can be a critical thinker, you can run shit, man. You can run shit.
It really is. I don't know how much of a listener you are to David Goggins.
I listen to a few of his things.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of David Goggins. But he says himself, hey, it's so easy to be a badass nowadays. It's so easy to be a warrior and a badass. You know why? Because people have Instagram and shit. These are his words. People have Instagram and shit. You want to be tough? It's easy. Yeah. Everyone has Instagram and shit. All they do is pay attention to their likes, their follows, and worry about what other people are thinking. That it just draws them down, and they become weaker and weaker and weaker, and they just follow. All you have to do is shut it off, and you will already be tougher. You have an upper hand on them by learning how to function. Just without that, you already have an upper hand.
It's addictive, man. I'm not gonna lie. Like I
we
like
live
that
in
stuff
that
too.
phase, though.
I like that stuff too. But at a certain point, I get to the point where I'm like, I'm just gonna do my thing, man.
So I have a saying is
where you at right here? You had orange, or you wanna?
Bro, I got an orange right now.
Okay.
But I like the meat. Like the meat. No, but I have my own little rules when it comes to social media because, like it or not, we live in a time and age where social media is also a benefit. Like, I'm not rolling it out. It's also a benefit, and we live in a time where, hey, it is free marketing. It is a platform. It gives you so much. It is a source of information. You can get all kinds of stuff, and network. Most importantly, a network. I've met so many fascinating people through social media, and I've also touched base with a lot of friends and just prior military and veterans and just people from around the world, who it's like, wow, we stay in touch and we're keeping up and make sure everybody's good. And it's just it's good to have that.
Yeah.
So it is a good resource when it comes to that too. But the big thing is more of like, I have a strain that I always tell people on my streams, I always tell the team on the streams is.
What is your stream?
So I stream on Twitch.
Okay.
I stream on Twitch.
Is that the.
Yeah.
Vato?
That is Vato, man.
So what does that come from? I mean, I don't want to distract you.
No.
Okay.
I have a saying that I always tell everybody at the end of all my streams. I always tell them, hey, I tell them two things. I say, hey, drink your water, take your vitamins, do your push-ups, and most importantly, continue mission, the mission of life. And if you don't know what that is, you focus on being a better version of yourself every day, and then don't let the outside elements manipulate your actions or your mind. You manipulate the outside elements.
That's good advice, man.
And I end all my streams saying that. That's like my outro for all my streams, And I basically am the same way. That's how I operate, And so I'll use social media, but I'm not going to let social media use me.
You see, you're a good example. Like my social media, I use it to keep track of Nina's hot cousins and then put my face on people's vacation photos so I screw them up.
That's hilarious, by the way. I get a kick out of that.
You know what's stupid is it keeps me up at night, man. Like literally, I'll wake up, I'll go through people's photos because I do like to see friends and family.
I get a kick. Now, I just want to know, everybody in those photos, right? Or
No. That's everybody I know.
I thought maybe you were just pulling stuff off the internet.
I will tell you this. I hate to use the word content, but that's what it is. It's content. But it's like I would say 96, 97% of the things I put on are either things that I just experienced, saw, people I know, things that are mine. I every now and then I'll share people's things, people that I'm friends with, I'll share their stuff. But typically it's everybody I know.
Yeah.
And like I'll be at work, man, and I'll check out I'll see a photo pop up and I'll be like, I might need that later. So I'll take a screenshot or I'll save it. And then I'll be there at 3:00 in the morning. I'll be like, oh shit, I forgot to put my face on that. And then I'll throw it up there and it's just, I've been like this since I'm a kid, man.
Hey, that's awesome.
I tell people.
I think that's cool. Keep it up.
Since I was a kid, I always said, my goal is to make myself laugh. If other people laugh,
I laugh at it.
That's a plus.
I get a kick out of it, dude. I get a kick out of it.
Nina, I think I told y'all, me and Nina sleep in separate beds now because of my back issues. I sleep in a spare bedroom. The bed's harder, and it's helped, but my lower back's still weird. But it's funny because like she'll be VRing in one room and I'll start cracking up. And she's like, "What'd you do?" And I'm like, "Check Facebook, check Instagram."
Heck yeah.
That's the dumbest thing.
That's pretty cool. No, it's cool. It's cool, dude. It's cool. And see, I think that's the cool thing about social media though. Like that is unique to you, you know.
Yeah.
That is your thing, you know. And you may think people are getting tired of it. I love it, dude.
I crack
you keep
up,
posting. Hey, I crack up, dude. I crack up, man. It's awesome. I crack up. And guys, those of you who are listening, make sure you shoot them a follow. You'll know what we're talking about. It's hilarious.
I feel bad sometimes because like sometimes it's like that's a beautiful family vacation photo. Let me throw my fat head on it with a brick wall behind it, you know.
But that's what makes it awesome. That's what makes it awesome. I mean, I don't know. I post a lot of just workout stuff and encouraging stuff. Things that help me.
I made Nina not follow you because I was like, don't be looking at him with a shirt off and expecting that shit when you get to the house. So.
I apologize. No, it's I'll tell you one thing about that though. That's what helped me. You know, that's what everything I post is something that helped me. You know, and I keep referring to as a leader, if I'm going to provide guidance, you know, if I'm going to give you advice in the form of a post, it's something that I did myself, you know, and it helped me, you know.
Checking your meat.
You checking my meat, dude? You know what we do here on this podcast?
I cut it pretty thin, I'll be honest with you.
No, but
don't remind me of David.
I was just gonna say you're thinking about David, Massage Envy.
Man, he went deep. He went deep, man.
But man, I really like that's kind of what I devoted my social media to is really just posting. You know, if it cannot help or support someone else or aid and assist in a situation that even I went through. Hey, if it's gonna improve your physical and mental readiness, I'm gonna post it.
Yeah,
you know.
I know there's an algorithm for all that stuff.
Oh, my shit, I'm sure is probably shadowed or whatever. It's not what they want. It's not what people want on social media.
You know what's funny is I hadn't really experienced that. And then I when I did the podcast with Victor Avila and we talked about child trafficking and drugs and stuff like that, TikTok muted a few of his things.
Really?
And then YouTube, I think it suppressed
Why would they mute that though? Like,
they blamed it on a song that I had on all my other videos, but there was one in particular where we talked about sex trafficking, where they muted it, and then that same podcast got a handful of views on YouTube, and probably got 6 times the amount of views on Rumble, and so again, I don't get paid for this stuff, man. I'm doing it for fun and because I enjoy it. So when I see stuff like that, it cracks me up because I'm like,
the best.
You know what's going on.
Do it for fun.
Yeah.
I don't know why that's such a sensitive topic right now.
I don't know either.
Like there's a movie that just came out.
Have you seen it?
Sound of Freedom. I haven't seen it yet.
We saw it 2 days ago.
I haven't seen it, man. But I'll tell you, so it's a little different. It's a little different for me to watch movies like that. I've been to multiple countries, and I've been in some crazy places. You know, I won't go into detail, but one thing that always has affected me, you know, I've seen a lot of crazy shit. Mm-hmm. Like, you know.
Where were you deployed?
Where? Mm-hmm. So I'll tell you one of the most sensitive ones. So I've been to Africa. I've been to the Middle East. You know, all around those different places multiple times. I'm not going to go into locations right now. Southeast Asia. You know, a lot of time there as well. But and South America, that's a big one. South America, Central America. So I've been to all these different regions, you know, and one thing though, like that always hit me the most is kids. Mm-hmm. You know, and I can definitely speak for a lot of military, a lot of leaders, a lot of forward operating individuals in the military. We'll say a lot of forward operating individuals, you know, can all say that when it comes to those first line engagements, it's always the children that always have a special appeal to a soldier, you know, and it does, and
I would imagine you guys are in a horrific condition, and a child is the most innocent thing on the planet.
Oh, dude, it'll hit you differently. And then some of the things you see, and then when it's kids, I mean, it's tough. It's tough to process. It really is. And so watching a movie like that, it's tough because I've been to these places, and it's like, dude, I already had my suspicions when I was there.
Sure.
You know, and I in my mind, it's like, dude, if I was only working for myself and I was in this situation right now, I will do this right now. Unfortunately, you know, we can't, you know, but it's like you can assume, because it's sad, dude. I mean, there's just so many young innocent children in these countries, and they're just like, dude, there's no cell phones out there. It's like these third world countries, you know, and so vulnerability is everywhere. But they're just innocent, you know.
There's a lot of predator and a lot of prey.
Dude, it's almost like it's too easy for them, and that's what's sad.
Yeah,
that's the sad part. It's like it's almost too easy for them in these countries.
We went to go see it, I guess, a day or two ago.
Did you guys go to the theater?
Yeah, to go see The Sound of Freedom, and you know, I will say it was a good movie. I think that it was done in a manner that would appeal to the masses.
Just to get a message out, right?
To get a message out, which is it's a message.
It needs to be out,
right? But there's a lot. Like if you took a early teen, no big deal. No. Now I'm not saying to do it, but there's nothing in the movie that would be terrible for that kid, because there's so much implied in the movie. As an adult, you go, "Oh, I know what's going on," but they never show anything.
Yeah.
They never. There's a lot implied.
Oh yeah.
And this is a fucked up thing to say, but it's almost like it just scratched the surface of what the issue is. Because
oh yeah, dude,
it's so much more worse than what the movie shows. You know, they don't show how they keep these kids drugged. They don't show how they don't show any of that stuff. There's just implied things, and so Nina didn't want to watch it. She wanted popcorn, so she went. Yeah, that's Nina's incentive.
I mean, in her defense, movie theater popcorn.
It is pretty good.
It's the best popcorn.
So she ended up going, and she was concerned, you know.
Yeah.
I expose myself to a lot more things than what she's willing to, as far as information I take in. It was. She cried. There's plenty of places to cry in that movie, but it wasn't anything that was like you couldn't watch it. You know what's happening, but they never show it. They never take it too far, which is something that people need to understand. You're getting the message from the movie, but you need to understand it's 1,000 times worse than what they're showing you in the movie.
Oh, yeah.
You know, another thing that's interesting, now granted, it involved an actual event with an actual guy, you know, and that was his story on that in particular rescue, you know, but the shit happens in all forms, man. It happens exactly like that. It happens. The lady I did the podcast with, Adriana McKinnon, over at Youth Center of Texas. You know, it happens in San Antonio. It happens from a mother to a child. You know, it happens from an uncle to a child. It happens from a brother to a sister. Mm-hmm. You know, and it's like there's so many avenues that sex trafficking is happening in. You know, and so a lot of times people. One thing Adriana was kind of make clear was, you know, it does happen. People do go and they do snatch kids, you know, but that's not all that's happening. There's so many avenues for people to sex traffic and they're doing them all. You know, it's a little bit difficult because, you know, the frosty side of me wants to go fucking just snatch everybody up and you know, get rid of these guys.
Yeah.
You know, But it's everywhere, man.
Dude.
It happens in schools. It happens with coaches and teachers and politicians and siblings and parents.
It's
like, what in the world?
Yeah, man. I feel like it's almost like an industry.
It is.
Like,
I forgot how many kids.
We're talking like industrial support.
Yeah.
You know.
You know what's interesting, and this came across my mind the other day, I guess after seeing the movie, and I'm fucking naive, man. I don't know anything. But I feel as though militarily we're able to be everywhere around the planet, and we get involved militarily in a lot of different countries. That, not saying the military needs to do it, but it's like that kind of logistical movement, that kind of strategic thought and placement of assets, and that's the only way to deal with this kind of fucking thing, because this thing is global.
Yeah.
And it's heartbreaking, man. They have the cutest little girl in this movie, you know, and when you see her, you're seeing this cute girl, and you're going, man, how could somebody do that to a kid like that?
Yeah.
And then when you pause for a second and you go, man, there's thousands of cute little girls just like this that it's actually happening to.
Yeah.
You know, me and Nina had conversations before, and it's like, you know, we were talking about that kind of thing, and you see stuff online. There's a lot of predator videos that it's like To Catch a Predator, but now everybody's doing it with like TikTok and stuff.
Yeah.
And they go and they find these guys and they interview them. And it is the weirdest thing, because when half of them that they talk to, they don't understand what's wrong.
No,
and it's like, how do you fix that?
Yeah.
You don't, you know? And when you think about who else have they done that to? How many times have they done that? You know, when somebody does that to a kid, when somebody takes a kid's innocence like that, you know, to me, fucking death sentence, because it's a death sentence to that kid.
Yeah.
You know, that kid is never going to be the same.
Nope.
The child might grow up and be productive, have a family and do great, but that's always there. And if your victim,
for life.
if your victim always has that, then you need to pay for that.
Yeah. As a perpetrator.
Yeah. And if that's your life, that's your fucking life, because you took that kid's life. You know, that's a terrible. That's a terrible thing, man. I sit there and
yeah, that's a.
I don't know what the fix is. I don't know what the fix is. You know, my only advice.
I'll tell you, the military. I mean, the military couldn't just fix that themselves. That's a global participation effort. Like, that would have to be a global unification effort in support of that, because I think it's even worse overseas, you know, because it's almost easier overseas. At least here, I mean, it's sad, but I had 2 Amber Alerts go up, you know. I guarantee you, in these other countries I've been to, there's no Amber Alert system.
Sure.
There's none of that. At least here, we have an all-around system letting us know when a child goes missing, you know. In those countries,
the fact that there's a market for that is fucking mind-blowing.
Right?
You know, it's you know, my buddy Laredo told me one time, we're talking about somebody, and I remember him saying, this was years ago, probably 20, 15 years ago, something like that. We're having a hard time understanding a friend of ours and their approach to what they were doing. And he said to me, if we understood why she was doing something, we'd be just as fucked up as she is. And so I think about that a lot of times, because it blows my mind. Like I said, me and Nino have talked about it before. Like, it's a fucking kid.
Yeah.
Look at the kid's face. How can anybody find that to be something that they want to pursue? And then you sit there, it's like, I don't understand it. I don't want to understand it. And I'm glad I don't understand it. Yeah. But it's unbelievable, man. It's a good movie. Like I said, it's not a blockbuster. It's not, you know, Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yeah.
It's a little slow at times. To me, I want people to understand when they watch that they're watching the surface layer of what that really is. You know, it's a lot worse.
Yeah.
I understand it a little bit, I don't understand it as much as somebody like you or somebody like Tim Ballard or other people that are in that industry, Adriana McKinnon. I don't understand it to that level. And I don't know that necessarily I want to. I just know that there's got to be something,
Nah, dude,
man.
you don't want to, man. Yeah, there's not there's one memory that literally pops in my mind just now that we're talking about it. Like, it just keeps popping in my mind, and I won't even like go into detail, but that's just how much of an impact it has. Whenever you see something involving kids,
Yeah.
When it comes to applying harm or anything that just makes a kid suffer, dude, I have too hard of a soft spot for that it's like, sometimes I'm like, man, someone better control me because it's about to go down, and gosh.
I talked to Victor Avila. Victor's job was trafficking. And so hopefully in the next month or so, we're going to sit down and talk about that some more.
Oh, that would be awesome.
But it was interesting because he talked about the law enforcement in Mexico. And he said, there was a lot of corruption everywhere. He said, and you knew who was corrupt. Everybody's corrupt. He said, but when you sit down with law enforcement and these girls and they hear their story, he says, their corruption almost stops at that point. It's time to go get these guys, and these girls don't deserve that.
Yeah.
These kids don't deserve that. And that's I don't know. That's just, it's disgusting. It's unfathomable.
We need to change the topic, dude.
Yeah, man. Let's change the topic.
It just went dark, dude. Let's talk about David and massage envy again.
So David has really good hands.
Any calluses?
You know what? I don't know, man. I was in heaven. Got a toe curl from time to time. So
there you go.
I told Nina, I said, you step up your game, and she said, you need to go back to David.
Hey, there it is. Yeah. Sometimes you got to do that, man. Sometimes you got to do that. Step out of the box.
So explain to me the snap.
Okay.
Snap back.
Yes, that's right. Well, that's So for the longest time, man, I used to always just be known to rock snapbacks. I always wear them backwards, in the military, be deployed or whatever, I'll wear a snapback, And
the logo's badass.
It was my gamer tag for a long time, so I'm in the gaming world and then everyone knows me as Snapback Vato, But then when I started streaming, and got really involved into it, and then I started, getting involved and developing this community of individuals that are just out there and going through tough times and just seeking mentorship and that motivation and purpose.
So you're able to connect like that on the
yeah, dude.
What's the software again?
It's crazy. Twitch on the platform Twitch, and
man, I'm fucking old. I call this software.
Software. Yeah. No, it's an app. You can get on your phone or download your computer. But so I literally had to tell people, everyone's like, what does Vato stand for? What does Vato stand for? What does it mean? And I said, well, in Spanish it means dude, But you want to know what it means to me is victorious against the odds, And that's what I'm always been about, is striving to be victorious against the odds. And since I was a child, growing up, getting into certain jobs or certain avenues, sports or whatever, and in the military now, you have that mindset of just, hey, what's my end state? Well, my end state is I'm going to be victorious against the odds. The outside elements are going to tell me I can't do this. Well, I'm going to go ahead and figure out a way to do it, And so I try to preach that to all these civilians and all these individuals who I engage with every stream, And I mean, I can tell you stories, man. There's one guy who stands out. I won't give up his name because I'm pretty sure he might watch this or something. But
he better share, and subscribe.
Right. Yeah. Hey, there you go. No, he's a good dude. I met him, and I mean, the guy has such an incredible story. You know, he was autistic. He's deaf in one ear.
Oh,
yeah,
wow.
he can still play games, and I ran into him because some dudes were cyberbullying him, you know, in one of the games, and I'm like, yo, whoa. So I intervened, and I said, hey, dude, you know what? Don't worry. Hey, you come play with me, man. Come play with me. You're on my team now. You're on my squad, you know. And he literally, I mean, gave me his whole story, dude. Getting to know this kid, getting to know him. He's like, has no siblings. You know, he was abandoned as a baby, you know, raised by his aunt, you know, and I mean, he's got one of those stories, and it literally really hit me, and I'm like, dude, no, man, don't feel like you're worth nothing. Don't feel like you have nothing to bring to this world, because you do, you know, and you know what? We're gonna exploit that potential, you know. So don't quit on yourself. You quit on yourself, then you already quit, you know. If you got breath in your lungs, you can walk, you can talk, dude. You're still in this fight, so let's keep going. You know, you're going to be victorious against the odds, dude. And that's what we're about here.
You know, it's funny because a lot of people need to hear that. But at the same time, there comes a time in their lives, because they don't realize it, when they're in the mud, they don't realize how insignificant those negative comments are.
Oh, dude.
And it's interesting, because when somebody can help somebody get through that, and when they get to the other side and they can look back and go, man, that was not fucking important. You know, at the time, I thought it was the world. I thought being insulted, or I thought being mistreated was my life. You know, but when you look back and you mature a little bit, you get a little bit older, you expose to more things, you realize how insignificant people mistreating you when you're younger is.
Yeah.
You know, but where do you get, let me ask you this, where do you get your good attitude, man? And I'll tell you why. And I say this on a lot of podcasts, and to me, I have this weird personality. Like,
Maybe we all do. We have a weird personality.
Well, I like to be positive, right? I like to help people. I like to do all that good stuff. But in my personal time, it's a little darker. And not to sound like fucking Batman or some shit. It's just like when I'm by myself, and not all the time. It's definitely not all the time. But every now and then I go through my little phases where, you know, I miss my brother, or I miss a family member, or I feel down, or I feel like, man, I'm not where I need to be, or, you know, what's going to be in the future. And the good thing for me personally is when I get down, I don't know why, but I don't ever stay there, right? I lick my wounds a little bit, and then I'm like, let's go. It's time to move on. A lot of people have a hard time struggling out of that.
Yeah.
You know? And I'm not saying that, how do you stay so positive?
Dude.
But because I'm sure you have your dark times. Everybody does. But it's like, I love seeing people that are overly positive for no reason. Because a lot of times, and I'm not saying that you're overly positive, but a lot of times I see that and I know it's because of a reason. You know, and I'm a person watcher. You know, I like to watch and observe, and then I make my own ideas of what this person's going through. You know, but I've seen enough people and talked to enough people where when I see somebody that's almost over the top, that somebody who's a little bit of a hater is going to look at it and go, "Oh my God, I hate this person." But it's like
they're always going to be there, man.
It's almost like a pendulum, right? And it's like when you find somebody that's way the fuck out here, it's almost because they've been way the fuck over here.
Yeah.
You know, and I appreciate that because I'm seeing the positivity, but I know that that comes from someplace else.
It did come from somewhere.
Yeah.
It did. One that's very smart of you to
say it again, Nina. Turn it up. Let my wife turn it up.
That's very smart. That's very smart of you to be able to identify that in individuals, you know, and then it says a lot because I also to apply that analytics, you know. Not a lot of people have that ability.
You're making me feel real fucking good.
No, dude, it's take pride in these abilities because they're very rare nowadays. But yeah, that's very smart and very analytical of you, and it's very true. It's very accurate, and that's why I can say that, because it is very accurate. Yeah, I did. I honestly, man, it takes going through dark places or going through dark times to lead through dark times, in my aspect. And yeah, dude, there are definitely times where I do get in my head, and it's never easy. It's never easy. And it's like you said though too, we all go through them, we're going to go through those thoughts. We're going to go through, if you come to my house, you'll see I have 2 flags in my living room, and those 2 flags in my living room, they're in cases. They have a story, they have a story. But that story is so important to me that I need to be reminded daily to see those flags daily. Like, I can't put them away in a box. I can't put them in an attic. I can't put them in storage. They need to be in the room that has the most life and the most activity in my house. And that's my living room. I walk through it every day and I need to see those flags. And they have a story, And that's on a whole different side, but that's just an example,
Well, not to ask you the meaning behind the flags, because you share that whenever you want. But I'm asking this for a particular reason. What emotion does those flags convey to you? Is it a happy one? Is it a sad one? What emotion do you get from that?
That's a good question. And I got an answer. I see those flags now, and it's what shows me that when I walk out that door, I'm going to earn the day. I got to earn the day for that story, for those individuals. I got to earn it.
So it's a weight.
No matter what, it's what I call a rucksack. I'm putting on that rucksack as I'm walking out that door, and I'm going to carry that weight. I'm going to earn the day, and I'm going to do it because those 2 aren't here anymore to do it, and so I can't quit.
Yeah.
As much as I want to, I can't quit, and that's just an example, and that's one thing I post on a lot of my workout posts, my Comfort in Chaos workout posts. I always post like, hey, earn the day. I tell everyone on the streams, hey, earn the day, team. Go out and earn it. Just earn the day, because at some point there's someone in your life, someone in your family, someone in your circle who's no longer around no more. Earn it for them. Put that thought in your mind and go out and earn the day. Don't focus on the bad, the negativity. You control it. Don't let it window on you. Focus on that good aspect, Yeah. I had a soldier come up to me last week, pulls me in my office, and he tells me, he's like, and mind you, this guy is to me the definition of resilience. He's the poster boy of resiliency in the military. I mean, I won't go into his personal details, but these guys, as a father, as a husband, he's got some tough cards he's dealt with, and he is getting through the day every day. And I can tell it's taking a toll on him. And he pulls me in, he's just like, man, pulls me in the office, has to close the door, and he's just like, I don't know who to talk to. I don't know how to handle this, but I just got to be upfront with you. And I'm like, hey man, what's up? And he tells me, he says, there's times, I'm not saying I'd kill myself, but there's times where I'm just driving and I'm crossing the railroad tracks, or I see railroad tracks coming up, and I'm like, I think my family and everyone would be better if a train were to just hit me right now. And you know what? I'll be okay with it. Or he sees a semi-truck driving on the highway. He says, I wonder if this semi-truck were to hit me right now, but I'll be okay with it. And he told me that, and he's like, am I crazy for having these thoughts? And he's thinking that his family would be okay because they're going to be taken care of. There's going to be an insurance. There's going to be all this, and the military's going to take care of them for life. And I'm like, dude, you know what? That's the wrong answer. But I said, you know what? The reason why you're having those thoughts, it's hard to say, but it's normal. You know why? Because you're a father who cares, and you're a husband who cares, that you're willing to sacrifice yourself for their well-being. Now that's normal. But here's now, rather than focusing on that negativity that's surrounding those thoughts, let's turn them around. Let's focus on the benefit and the blessings of what's to come and the need for you to be here. And I said, you know why? Because your daughters are going to need that backbone that you have as a father to get them through this life. Because they're going to go through some challenges. And you have already demonstrated in your presence and everything that you've done for them so far, you are demonstrated to be a backbone. You're a father, you know. And then your wife, she's going to need you to be that backbone so that she can climb on and follow that lead. And they're going to need you, man. They're going to need you. So don't take your mindset, don't channel that thought process on that negativity, those dark spots, because they're going to come. And I said, you know what? They're going to come. There's going to be more, you know. I'm not no behavioral health specialist. I'm not a therapist or nothing, but I will tell you this, from one father to another, from somebody who's been through some dark places, I will tell you, they're going to come back. But it's what your battle reaction is going to be when they do come. That's what's going to dictate that action and that reaction. And when those dark thoughts come, dude, turn them around. Turn that dial around. Turn it from the bad shit, turn it to the good shit. And let's focus on that. Hey, I need to be here for them. I need to be the backbone for my daughter. I need to be the backbone for my other daughter. You know, she's going to go through some tough times. I need to be present for that. Yep. Because when she starts dating and finding a man, she needs an example or comparison to compare that man to. And they're going to compare it to their father. So be there, man.
Yeah.
Be there.
You know, that's a heavy topic. You know, I've got some friends that have had loved ones die by suicide. Like my friend Elise says, not commit suicide, is die by suicide. And
that's a tough one, dude.
You know, this is very selfish of me to think this way, but sometimes I do think this way. I say, because I'm not in those people's positions who have already taken their lives. But like friends of mine that I know, I sit there and I think to myself, I don't really typically converse like this, you know, in front of other people, but now it's all over the podcast.
Hey, let's go.
But, you know, to me, it's kind of like, I don't know what's going through somebody's head right before they do that.
Oh, dude, I can only...
It's got to be misery. But the people that I've seen in times gone on since that their loved one has passed on, and I look at the current situation that they live in, and I think to myself, if he'd have waited one more day, maybe he could have gotten through it. And now his children are beautiful. They have beautiful grandbabies. All this wonderful stuff that comes from life. Ew. That will not be able to be experienced because of what happened for them. And sometimes and like I said, I'm fortunate. When I get bummed out, when I don't even call it depression. I get blue, you know, and it lasts a little while. It goes away. And yeah. Sometimes it's days. You know, I talked to a buddy of mine a while back. I said, dude, when you see me, I'm fucking up here. You know, I'm on 12. You know, I'm an idiot. I'm cracking jokes. I'm hitting on everybody's wife. I'm out of control. I said, but when we had that conversation, me and him, I said, I just spent 3 days in a dark room. I get up, I go to work, I come home, and I'm just bummed. You know, I wish things were maybe a little bit differently. I miss certain people in my life. I'm looking internally too hard. I said, and then I go to sleep, and then I get up, I go to work, I come back, and I go back into the dark room. And I said, and that was for 3 days. I said, and now we're here sitting here shooting the shit. Yeah. You know, so to me, it's a blessing because I can experience those negative things, and I've got this weird, like when I asked you earlier about the flags, I ask you because and I've had this conversation with people before, I give my brother Eddie as an example, or he's the example, because like I have a lot of love for him and I miss him a lot, but I have this negativity that I hold on to, and anger that I hold on to, and a lot of it's because to me, and I could be fucking totally off base, but to me, it's like, as long as I hold on to that, I feel closer to him than if I felt good and was doing what he would want me to go be happier, to be have a good life, but there's a lot of times where I'm like, well, I don't want to stray too far, because this is where he left me. This is where I left him. You know, yes, I want to progress. Yes, I want to do things with my life and live life to the fullest. But it's almost like, I always tell people, I'm never going to live farther than 5 hours from George West, because I have to be able to go see my parents.
Yeah.
You know, I'm tethered here. And so in a weird, fucked up kind of way, I feel tethered to my brother when I maintain that sadness, the anger, the being upset that I lost him.
Yeah.
You know, I feel connected to that.
Yeah.
And like Tia Gracie told me, she's like, he would want you to move on and be happy. And I get that, and I totally believe that. But it's like I know that I feel closer to him this way. I don't want to let go of it. You know.
So, let me ask you, how do you channel that energy though? How do you channel those thoughts? Like, what do you do with them?
With the thoughts of him?
How does it affect your behavior or your actions? Like,
you know, it's I think it makes me behave better towards other people I don't know.
okay.
Like in a weird way, kind of a dick, you know?
I can see that.
You
literally carry a knife on your shirt.
I expose it a lot.
I'm just kidding.
But like a lot of times I feel so busy that I don't feel like I have time to give somebody time. You know,
I got you.
I feel like I don't make an effort to be more to somebody than what I am. Or that's who he was.
Yeah.
Eddie could have been a great dad. I don't know if he could have ever been a great husband, but a lot of he focused on himself quite a bit.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it was so interesting because when he died, I saw so many people that I knew that I was like, how the fuck do they know Eddie? You know? And when you slowly talk to people, you go, oh man, he did this for me, or he gave me a job when I needed this, or he helped my family out with this. And you sit there and you go, maybe a lot of the time that he spent away from where he should have been, some of that time he was contributing to people that you didn't even know he was contributing to.
Yeah.
And it was to people that had nothing to offer him, you know? And so a lot of times I try because I'm not like that. You know, a lot of times I'm like, I'm tired. I'll talk to them later. I'll see them later. I don't have time for that. Or man, I haven't talked to that person forever. Now I'm wired a little bit in the sense where my close people, I check on them all the time.
Yeah.
But I don't make that effort to check on somebody that I don't have that close connection to.
No, I got
which
you.
is what he would do, you know?
Yeah.
So I think in that aspect, I check myself more, you know, give this person some time, see what's going on with them, expose myself a little bit more to people that maybe I wouldn't, you know, so that's kind of what I get from that. Outside of that, I wish I could say, man, it springboarded me to be successful and now I'm fucking over the moon, you know, but I don't think that is ever going to propel me in that direction because there's a little bit of comfort in that unhappiness, the chaos, the misery.
Comfort and chaos, man.
You know, and there's a song Nina was telling, she's like, that's you. And the part of the song is, I forgot I think it's called Happy, NF sings it. And he said something about, I don't know what I'd be like if I was happy or something like that. But it's like, it's interesting because in a real fucked up way. And I've been like this since I was a kid.
Yeah.
Like I always I always found comfort in negativity. Like even as an adult, Nino's like, you love negative attention. And it's like, it's my favorite flavor, man. I love negative attention.
There
you know, and a lot of that was growing up with my siblings and my friends. We always hammered on each other, man. We never told each other, man, I'm proud of you. I love you. It was always like, you're fat. Get the fuck out of the way. And it was kind of like, oh man, that's my sister. I love her. You know what I'm saying? that was our relationship to each other. It was never, hey, you know, good job and I'm proud of you. And it was like, hey,
same. I had the same upbringing.
Same shit, you know.
Same upbringing.
Hey, I'm graduating. You coming to my high school graduation? You're supposed to graduate. What do I need to go? You know, that was the mentality. But that's how I grew up. You know, there was always friction. You know, and so there's comfort in friction. You know, and I always find that when I start losing that discomfort, I feel detached from where I came from. Kind of. You know, it's kind of weird, but I don't know. I may have ran off on a tangent.
No, dude. I know exactly and can relate, man. And with your brother like that, like the fact that the reason why I asked is because it's more of like, what actions and behaviors do you execute based off those thoughts, you know? And I wanted you to say that you do something outside of your normal realm in spite of that. Instead of, hey, I just keep them to myself and I lock myself away. No, I rather you say that because now you're doing exactly what I was telling my soldier. You're channeling those thoughts and you're using them to fuel you to execute a whole nother avenue that respects the tribute of life, you know. And you're earning the day. You know, you're earning the experience and you're finding comfort in your chaos.
I'll be honest with you. Initially, when I came across those interactions with all those people that talked highly on him, I'll be honest with you. Initially, it was a slap to the face because it made me look at who I was and how I had been behaving. And it was interesting because you sit there and you go, I'm a good person.
Right.
But it's like, you can be better.
Until you meet a better person.
Yeah.
And then you're like, oh, shoot, I can pick it up a notch.
Especially when I thought he was a dick. You know?
Damn, exactly, right?
No,
exactly.
You know what? We knew what we had in Eddie. You know, at times
that's awesome, man.
At times he was hard to love, but everybody loved
awesome.
him.
Well, hey, cheers to Eddie.
Cheers to Eddie, man.
Cheers to Eddie. Dude, this meat is pretty good.
Dude, we're almost done.
Not bad.
You might have to take the rest home.
Not bad at all.
Because I can feel my ankles swelling from the salt.
Oh man!
So what else do you have going on, man? I know you do the gaming thing.
So I do the gaming thing. That dude, I'll tell you what, man. I started that just strictly as kind of like a therapy. You know, being a single father in the military, a senior leader. You know, I mean, you deal with so many stresses of life. You know, being away from a family, away from support, going through relationship issues. You know. I mean,
it's a good distraction.
I mean, there's just so much that you do that you just, hey, I got to find some type of outlet. You know, I got to find a way to vent and find an outlet, what I call a mental aid station. You know, I got to find my own mental aid station and let me do that, you know. And that's what I did. I did start streaming, started going into that. I'm like, hey, man, I like to play video games. And there's this platform called Twitch. And I was like, hey, let's start that up and see where that goes. Next thing you know, got big enough now, an affiliate with them, and got a really good established little established community of just some real tight neck individuals that just, I mean, it's almost like they're my second family.
That's cool.
You know, we just check on each other. We have a Discord. You know, I sent you. You're in the Discord now, and you see.
I still don't know how it works, man.
We're just all. It's like a line of communication for all of us. You know, we just keep in touch. People just come in every now and then, post pictures, say what's up, say how you're doing. It's like your own little mini Facebook, if you would say.
Gotcha.
You know, just for that community. And
because I now that I know that you can post whatever you want on there.
Yeah.
I've got some hilarious photos that I took with my testicles.
I don't know about that.
I'll send them to you.
I don't know about that.
I'll send them to you before I post them.
Yeah, I was gonna say I'm gonna have to. I'm the moderator, so
You know what happened one day is I got super bored, man, and I took a picture of my junk and I posted it to the
newspaper.
The monkey from Lion King when he holds the baby up.
Oh.
So I swapped the baby out.
Oh.
And I sent it to Nina. And she laughed her ass off. So then I made 17 more.
Ooh.
And then I sent them to Nina. And then I sent them to my friends. And then I sent them to her friends. And now there's probably 100 people out there with these ridiculous.
There you go.
And they're fixing to be on Discord.
Ooh. But
I'll show you here in a minute.
So no, so yeah, so I picked that up, and I'm pretty. It's a fun time. It's really a fun time,
Yeah.
man, and I look forward to it now. It's more of a time now where it's almost part of my day, where it's just like, dude, all right, let's see how the team's doing.
It's gotta be a good touch in with those folks.
It really is. It really is. And
How do you know these folks through the game, or do you know some of them in person?
both, man, both. I mean, it's the community is expanded to a point where it's like, once you're in there, you start involving yourself, and then you realize, well, how close you are. You know, it's like some people are like, wow, I live here, and I live here, and I live here. And I'm like, wow, hey, I'm right down the road. Hey, you know, once I verify you're not a serial killer, we should get a drink sometime. Just a lot of stuff like that. But
I almost made pork tenderloin come out of my nose.
But no, we have a good time, man. It is a good time, and I'm not your average gamer or your average streamer. I do it strictly just for some resiliency on my end, little mental aid station, and then it feels good to provide that mentorship and guidance to just an avenue of people who just don't even have it. Yeah. I mean, I can tell you so many stories and interactions, and I get these encouraging messages. Hey, man, I just want you to know your streams have helped me through some tough times. And it's always it's always a pleasure and honor tuning in and just hearing your vibes and just hearing the encouragement. Like people, we don't get that very often, from any other gamers or streamers.
That's cool, man.
And so I take pride in that. I really do. I hear that. I'm like, well, hey, you know what? Thank you for sharing that. And that encouragement really does me well hearing that, and continue mission, dude.
It's fun. When Nina first started doing VR, I think they've cleaned it up, or maybe she's in some groups that are different. But man, there's kids that talk so much shit on
dude, that's all they do, man.
Heavy.
It gets toxic out there. It gets toxic.
Inward with a hard R.
Oh, it's bad, dude. It's bad. It's bad. But what's funny is I have fun with it too. Like the content's also pretty fun. I have fun. I have this what's called a randoms moment. So every time I'll jump in a randoms game and I'll get a random partner assigned. And I'll turn on what we have proximity chat in the game we play. So when you have proximity chat, that means everybody in the lobby can talk to each other if they're in a close proximity of each other.
Like physically?
Like on your headset. So if you're playing right now and you go in this lobby, everybody who's in a close proximity to you can talk to each other, And so in this game I play Call of Duty. And so in this part of the game, we jump out of a plane. At the very start of the game, you jump out. Everybody jumps out. So for a close couple minutes before everybody lands on the ground, everyone can talk to each other. And so what I always do is I have this thing where I'll sing a lyric of a song, and I'll hear for the responses, and then we start talking to each other just randomly through the game, and we become best friends or not, So I'll jump out of the plane, and I'll just say, "Just a small town girl," and then I'll wait to hear what everybody says, and then you'll hear it. You'll hear like 50 people just randomly say, "Living in a lonely world," and then it's just like everyone just tunes in, and you get this big old music thing of everyone right before we go kill each other. We're all vibing and singing to each other.
That's pretty funny.
And so it's just good entertainment. Everyone just loves watching it, and then I'll go down and I'll start talking to people, Oh, what do you rather than what you said, just talking shit, everything.
These are people all over the world?
People all over the world, kids of all ages, and we're just talking, and they're just like, oh, yeah, well, you know, and I'll be like, hey, dude, that's pretty mean. Why would you say that? You know, and, oh, well, because he did this and this. Well, okay. Well, how do you know he's not this and this? You know, and next thing you know, we just get to know each other, you know, and then they'll ask me, well, what do you do? And I'm like, dude, I'm in the military, you know. Oh, or like, cause I'll say, oh, hey, you're lucky that I guarantee you couldn't hold that weapon system in real life. And they're like, why? Well, because I know I'm in the military. You couldn't hold that weapon system and climb that mountain. There's no way.
You know what's funny is I'm gonna be more, I guess, lenient with Nina, because at first she got into this VR thing, right? And now she's got a group of people that she plays with. And at first I was like...
See, that's a whole nother level, though.
I was like, that's weird.
I've heard VR is another world.
She plays poker with this group, and she's like, no, you get to know them, and they get to be friends, and, you know...
Yeah.
And so after a while, I was kind of like, all right, I still don't... My gaming stopped at the PS3. Ooh. And so I'm behind. And even then, I wasn't advanced. Like, I've got some Call of Duty games that I never opened.
What?
Just because I was like, this is too hard. I came from Super Mario, man.
Oh, dude, Cassie would love you.
I had just 3 buttons. You know what I'm saying? And so the attention span, I lose it real quick, man.
Cassie would love you.
Yeah, tell her whenever she wants to play Super Mario.
They're about that. But no, man, it really is. It's a whole different world. It's a different community, man. And I'll tell you, it's a growing community.
Yeah.
And the people I interact with, I mean, it just makes it worth it, man. And we have fun. And
That's
we
cool.
have fun. And there's times where I'll stream like scary games, you know, we'll do horror games and, you know, and.
So you can share games with people?
Yeah, no, they'll watch me.
Oh, gotcha.
And then so forth. But at the same time, though, too, I've also reached into expanding into. I just want to follow your swag, dude.
What?
The more podcast realm, man.
Dude, I got zero swag.
Dude, you got all the swag.
No
man.
way.
Come on.
I got stretch marks, but I ain't got the swag.
You got the swag, dude. But
listen up, babe.
Comfort and chaos, man. That's basically what it's focused on. That's what it's called.
That's cool.
It's a brand that I basically created, and you'll see it when you follow on my Instagram. I post all my stuff, and I have a Comfort and Chaos logo on all my posts, and that's basically what it means. You know, is the importance of finding comfort in our chaos on our daily aspect. You know, and we all do it. We all do it. We all figure out a way to get through our chaos. I am one that I want to understand and learn how people do it, you know, and it really came onto me more during COVID, you know, because during COVID, everybody was pointing fingers at everybody, you know, dude, like all this stuff, you know, and their emotions were rough for those past, those 2 years, you know, people were just going crazy and going through chaos on the daily, no matter what, whether you're a mailman, whether you're a plumber, whether you're in the military, whether you're a teacher, lawyer, doctor, you were going through some form of chaos every day, you know, and we all do. I'm curious to learn how you do that, you know, and I'm going to share my chaos, you know, and the past couple podcasts that I've done, it's just me, and I'm just sharing a bit of mentorship through my chaos, you know, and like I think my most recent one is, I call it the V word. Vulnerability, you know, and being vulnerable and how tough that is. And it's a form of chaos that we all go through, you know, and I really focus and hit some pinpoints that I got through, you know, because of the fact that it was something that was tough for me, you know, being vulnerable, especially in relationships. Oh my gosh, dude, I'm horrible. I'm a tough dude to date. I'm a tough guy to be in a relationship with.
Well, I think vulnerability, people coincide that with being taken advantage of.
It's tough, man.
Yeah.
And it's tough because it's like when you've been hurt before or gone through a dark place, who wants to go back? You know, who wants to go back? So when you put yourself in that situation now again where you're like, okay, in order to succeed in this situation, I'm going to have to open that door of vulnerability. But am I ready to potentially go through, or worst case scenario, go through exactly what I went through the last time? And then are you going to get through it the way you did again? Are you going to come out on top again or not? So it's tough, man. It's at least for me, you know, that was something I've always struggled with. Yeah. So
I think when it comes to vulnerability, I think there's not a good fix to being comfortable with it. But I think when you expose yourself to enough people and you're vulnerable enough, it shines a light on who you are as a person. Yeah. And I think when you get to a point where you can say, hey, I'm comfortable with this, you know, when you're comfortable knowing who you are and knowing who you aren't, you know, and understanding, hey, I'm not Gabe. You know, I'm not doing X, Y, and Z. Well, but I'm not you, Gabe. I'm not Cass's Gabe. I'm not doing certain things, or maybe that's an opportunity to go, hey, he's a good example. I need to try that. I'd like to have some of that in my life. I'd like to do certain things, you know, differently, and I can connect with this guy, you know, and do that. But when you can get comfortable with who you are, being vulnerable allows you to get comfortable with who you are. When you can be comfortable with who you are, you can allow yourself to be more vulnerable. You know, it's kind of like this.
I see that.
What is that snake? The Celtic snake that's eating the tail, kind of thing. It's like it's a
like a circle.
Yes,
I know what you're talking about.
All the way around.
It's a little circle coming all around.
You have to expose yourself to pain to become stronger. Yeah. And when you become stronger, you can expose yourself to pain.
Dude,
it's this weird little deal. You know?
I'll tell you what, man, and you're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. And it's easier said than done.
Yeah. No, you're
For a guy like me, man, I'll tell you, it's easier said than done. And I'm pretty sure if we could pull if you pull ex-girlfriends on here, they'll tell you straight off the bat. It'll be a whole different conversation. But yeah, you know, I've always struggled honestly, that has been a tough part for me. And it still is, I'll tell you. And it takes a certain level of toughness, or it takes a certain level of manlyhood to admit your weaknesses, you know, or your struggling points. And one of those for me is an emotional intelligence or an emotional appeal. You know, opening myself up emotionally is very tough. Even now, to this day, it is something I still struggle with, and I'll openly admit that. And I'm working on it. I really am. But it's because whenever you had to, or at least for me, you know, I had to get myself through certain dark times alone, and I had to find a way out. And I did it alone, and I had to block that emotion. I couldn't let my thoughts or my actions be dictated off of emotion, so I had to block it. And by blocking that, it was more like I must have just put a barrier so strong, so sturdy, that even now it's tough for me to, there's a dead dog on the road. So what? There's a dead dog on the road. You know, and I know that it's like, I should feel something for that because everyone else does. You know, I'm with someone who does. And it's like, I'm sorry. I just don't have that emotional appeal to that, you know, because I don't open myself up to be vulnerable at that, you know?
Yeah.
And that's just an example. That's a hypothetical example. But that's something I've always struggled with, you know, and dude, I have the ex-girlfriends to prove it, you know, and because that's where it really shows the most, you know, and I'll openly admit it really does, you know, because, you know, you're engaging yourself in a relationship. You have to open yourself up both, you know, physically, mentally, emotionally, in order for that relationship to be fully functional. And it's always been tough, man. Yeah. It's always been tough, and especially because you're in a job where I got to shut that off. Like, I can't keep it on all the time because I'm going to go somewhere and I'm going to see kids, or I'm going to see people, and innocent people, going through certain situations that, in order to keep this mission going, I cannot interfere.
Yeah.
I cannot. As hard as it may be.
That's got to be difficult.
It's like, dude.
That's got to be difficult because when you see something like that, to know that instant, if you do something, you may help things, you may make things worse, but also that's not what you're there for. You know, it was interesting because when I was talking to Victor talked about
I'm sure he can relate,
his job in Mexico, and he was talking about how he said, "Look, I knew what my job was. My job wasn't to save the country. Yeah. My job was to help, be there, help guide, and save as many kids as I could. But it wasn't my job to fix the country. And it's for people like us, that's hard to understand because we're not in those positions. But when you're in those positions, you can't save the country, and so it's almost like you have to put that to the side really and say, what can I control? And let me control that to the best of my ability.
You really do.
And that's got to be, you almost have to emotionally detach yourself from that other ugliness because you can't do anything over there, you know, and man, that's got to be a tough position for you guys to be in because
it is, dude. And I'll tell you what, man, there's guys who I know that they're in those situations way often more than they should be.
Yeah.
And kudos to them. And I know some who even retired, and even now I still try to check in on them because I look up to them regardless, and I want to make sure they're still doing good, and it's one of those things because until you experienced it, you really can't relate, man. It really is tough. You can go talk to as many people as you want and you're going to get the same stuff. Hey, I understand, just like I'm assuming like with the loss of your brother, somebody can go over there and tell you, hey, I understand. Don't worry. You're going to get through this. Then you're like, do you? Have you lost your brother? Have you lost a brother that had the same actions and behaviors that mine did? Then no, you don't understand.
Yeah.
But until you do, because eventually you will engage with somebody who's like, you know what, dude, I did lose my brother. And he was just like your brother. And I do understand. Well, now there's a whole different approach now. There's a whole different appeal. And now your behavior, your actions, and your thoughts now are going to change because of this interaction you have with this individual. And that's going to leave more of an impact than hey, man, I understand. I understand.
I got a habit of when I'm in a position where I want to be there for somebody, but I can't explain it or I can't emotionally understand where they're at. The only thing I do is I give them a hug and I tell them I love them.
There you go, dude.
And I leave them alone.
You know what, though? There's power in that presence. You're being present. That's a form of presence right there. And that's what I tell people. There is power in presence. So be present. Be present. And being present doesn't mean being there physically all the time, but just a simple text. Hey, how you doing? Hey, how was the week going? Hey, just want to touch base with you. See how was your week? Hey, it's Christmas time. I just want to say Merry Christmas. Hope the family's doing good. How are you doing? That's being present. That's a form of presence. And in the military, as a non-commissioned officer, one of your evaluation blocks, believe it or not, is presence.
Really?
It really is. It's a characteristic of leadership. And that, to me, I see that and I'm like, dude, I preach that. You know what? That carries on even in the civilian world. No matter what you are, you're a husband, a boyfriend, a father, a girlfriend, a wife, a mother. There is power in presence, and imagine if we're eval'd, as a teacher, as a doctor, as a lawyer.
We will be when the day we die.
That's right.
We're gonna be eval like a.
That's right. You're gonna go through your final counseling session. You're gonna go through that rap sheet.
What's funny is I try, and I think I do a pretty good job. I'm not great at it, but I try and be present in people's lives as much as possible.
That's good.
And even when I hear people say often, well, so and so doesn't call me. I don't do that shit. If I'm cool with somebody, if I care about somebody, I'm gonna check on them. If they never check on me. Now I will say this: I got a fucked up way of doing it, but I try and do that regularly. Hey. And for me, That's looks awesome. For me. I don't call it awesome.
Well, because it's a form of presence.
Because for me, it's like, what are you wearing? What color's your lipstick? Is your hair up or down? This is guys and girls, man. It runs the gamut. But that's your style. That's my communication to you.
Exactly, and that's your style. And if people know you, they know that's your style.
I'll message people and I'll say, when are you gonna get to see me again? Shit like that. But it's like it's me trying to interact with you in a way that makes me feel comfortable.
There you go.
And again, maybe that's trying to avoid some vulnerability. Rather than saying, "Hey, man, I miss you. I haven't seen you in forever," I say, "What the fuck are you wearing?"
And then they send you back, dude, it's your mom. What are you doing?
my buddy Bo will tell me what he's wearing. So that gets interesting from time to time.
Well, there you go. Well, if you ever do that to me, just ask me what I'm eating. There you go. Or what am I training that day? What are you training?
Is your hair up or down?
Is a snapback forward or backward? What color is a snapback?
I was going to tell you, you shared that haunted story the other day.
Are we going to go there?
Did you see the episode?
Dude, I know. I haven't seen it. So you said, is it on Peacock?
Hang on.
It's on the Discovery Channel.
I saw it on Discovery Plus, but I sent you a YouTube. A guy posted it. So it's that San Carlos
Hotel.
In Phoenix, I think?
Phoenix, downtown Phoenix.
Get this shit, man.
Go there, people.
I do want to go there.
Dude, go there.
How far is Phoenix from here? It's a couple of states over, right?
You got to cross New Mexico, so it's going to be like 10-hour drive, I'm sure.
Well, I'd love to go one day. There was a part in there. So what floor were you on?
We were on the 7th floor.
7th floor was the heavy floor, man.
Yeah, that's the heavy floor. I know. And I told you that because the elevator kept opening. And we knew something was up. I knew.
I told Nina, I said, there has to be somebody in there. So they were on the 7th floor. They were staying in one of the rooms. And they had a master key. Nobody was supposed to be on the 5th, 6th, or 7th.
Oh.
And so they go into the 7th. And the lamp turns on.
Ooh.
And then the clock falls.
Did they say what room they were in?
I want to say 702 or 703, something like that.
Was there a name of the suite? Did they have a name? Because on our floor, on the 7th floor, or at least when I stayed there, all the rooms had names on them.
What was
ours was the Gary Cooper suite.
It didn't have a number?
It did have a number, dude. It's so long ago, I forgot the number.
You see, I don't think they had...
I just remember the name. It's a Gary Cooper suite.
I don't know that they had names on it during this episode.
Ooh,
so people know Ghost Adventures did an episode on the San
Carlos Hotel,
downtown, and that's Phoenix. Where you had a ghost experience.
My only. Hopefully, I never have another one. But I didn't believe in any of that paranormal stuff, until I stayed there.
Yeah. Well, they're on the 7th floor.
Yeah.
They had like these double doors, right? So one goes to the next room.
Yeah. And
so they opened theirs, and that one was closed. So they unlocked it. They opened it up. And it shuts on them.
Ooh.
So they send Aaron, the tall guy,
of course,
into that room.
I feel like that dude's always the guinea pig.
Always
I feel bad. He's the guinea pig of the group, man.
He goes in there, searches, and he yells at them. They run over there, dude. And there is a napkin or paper towel on the backside of the sink covered in blood with drops of blood in the sink.
Oh, what?
And it was not old blood. It was fresh. And so they're freaking out. And so they leave, and I think they go back down to the 6th. And so they say, hey, we're going to go back up to the 7th. They tell Zach we're going to go to the 7th. They go up there, and they open up the room that they had been in. And they got it on camera, man.
Oh, dude.
But the bathroom door closes. And Aaron yells, that door just closed. I'm getting out. Ooh. So they leave. And then they run in the hallway, and they stay there a little while, and they come back. They're looking down the hallway. They come back. They go back in the room, and that door is cracked back open again.
Ooh.
And so they go back in. They hear, I think, a banging or something. They take off running. But that place was legit. Like, when they finished the episode, they weren't done. They're like, we're definitely going to have to come back because they were in the middle of just finding stuff. And, I mean, lots of movement, doors opening and closing.
Oh, boy.
Dude, they had...
Oh, boy.
They have some cool stuff, right? Cool equipment. One of them, they have this new device that will track the neck and head of an apparition.
Oh, like a stick figure kind of device. Does it look like a stick figure kind of thing?
The neck looks like a stick, but this is brand new.
Oh.
So I know what you're talking about. That thing's pretty badass.
Where do they get this stuff, by the way?
Some nerd makes it. And so it 3D maps the face if it finds something. So apparently some kids had drowned in the well on the premises.
Yep.
So one of the dudes takes a bucket of water. He puts a microphone in the bucket of water and places it on the lid of the water well.
Are you serious?
He's asking questions, and you can hear a kid talk. And then the other dude who has that
Dude,
device.
I'm legit. You got the hair standing up
Dude,
right now.
I'll see it right
like,
now.
my hair is legit. I've got the chills, dude. Like, I legit got the chills.
I think I'm starting to get them.
Bro, that is freaking crazy.
So they hear the kid talk, and the dude that's over behind him somewhere goes, "No way, bro. No way, bro." And he's like, "What?" He's like, "You're over there. I'm over here. The camera's facing over there." They go back, and the dude's talking to a little kid, and you see a little ball lighting, and then he's just talking to him. You hear a little kid giggle. All of a sudden, you see this now it's not like an actual person's face.
Yeah.
It's a person's face, but it's 3D mapped, right?
Oh.
So it looks like almost like one of those smooth white masks.
Yeah.
And you see it come into frame, and you see the kid smile and wince, and then put his face, he like smiled at him and kept going. Do they play it back, and you see that kid's face come in, and you see the grin because they're talking to him and they're playing with toys, and then the grin, he kind of goes back down and goes across the screen. It's like, holy shit, man! Like,
dude,
it was legit. You got to watch that episode. Y'all got to watch that episode,
bro. Look at that shit.
Watch it tonight.
Look, I got literally the goosebumps right now.
You got to watch it tonight. I don't know
gosh, dude.
How many years was it since you went?
Dude, we're talking years.
Okay.
Years.
So
I was like my first year of college.
So the staff there, they're probably different staff than what
it's been 15 plus years. I guarantee it's like, dude, they renovated, they probably changed up a lot of stuff.
Yeah, it was probably one of the better episodes. And I told Nina, I said, I think this is the one Gabe was at.
Yeah.
And she's
that's
like,
it.
No, because Nina knows everything.
Nina,
but
I was there.
She said it was
that one.
She thought it was a kid's hospital, but it turned out it was a school. It was like the first school.
Yeah, it was like the first school, and they had like all the Indian, Native American children who were orphans were all going there.
Yeah. And then they would fall they had a bunch of kids that had fallen in the water well that was on the premise.
Yep.
And then they built this hotel on top of the water.
On top of it.
So
that whole property has a story. It transitioned to multiple places.
Yeah.
Before it was established as a hotel.
Check out that episode.
So it's got a story. Hey, you guys, if you don't believe me, hey, go check out this hotel.
Yeah, it's San Carlos
Phoenix,
Hotel,
Arizona. Downtown Phoenix, Arizona.
7th floor.
Oh yeah, just walk around the place at night. You will have an interaction. You'll get the chills, guaranteed.
I got a friend of mine. Nina calls her my gay girlfriend, but she loves ghost hunting. So whenever we do something, I'll give you a heads up. I'll give you a heads up. We do something local. There's let me know. I think you can rent. Now I don't want to do it when it's fucking hot, but I think you can rent the Presidio in Goliad. So
really,
there's a church there, and I want to say they're like barracks.
Yeah,
that they used to sleep in, and you can rent them for the night. You can stay on the ground. So my friend had gone once, and she had a bad experience, which makes me want to go even more.
I mean, essentially.
So if we end up doing something like that in the fall, I'll give you.
Dude, I'd be down. I'd be down, but just know that I might be the first one to be like, all right, guys, I'm going to be standing outside. I'll wait for y'all.
I guarantee you won't. It'll be me. It'll be me. I'm fat, but I can run fast when I'm scared.
Hey, can't we all, man? Can't we all? I'll tell you that for sure.
Well, again, brother, tell people where they can find you.
So on Instagram, Snapback Vato on Instagram, you can find me there. I have the plug there for my YouTube, plug for my Twitch.
Okay.
All right there. I put all my content, really clips, everything's all on Instagram, guys. Check
Very
it out.
positive, man.
I try to. I really do. And I'm also one of those too where, hey, if you got questions, comments, concerns, don't hesitate to reach out, DM me, DM, and join the Discord. I'll pull you in. And I got a good positive team there. And we really, it is a good demonstration of just what it means to be power and presence, and that's what we try to do. And I try to instill that to the team.
That's good stuff, man. That's something that needs to spread more. So
there you go.
I'm happy to have met you.
Heck yeah, dude. This was fun. This was fun. We should. I would love to come back. We can vibe some more, bring some more meat.
We almost finished the pork tenderloin, man.
Dude. I'm curious what other stuff they got though too.
Oh, we'll have to road trip over there one day.
Oh, let's do it. Let's do it.
1845 Meat Market, New Braunfels, Texas.
New Braunfels, Texas. Let's go.
Thanks, brother.
Hey, thank you.
Appreciate it.
Hey, awesome, man.
Thanks, everybody, for listening.
Let's go. Like and subscribe.
Like and subscribe. Later.
Thanks for listening to the Gabe Molina Podcast.